The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021. Week 17 picks against the spread in Cust Corner. There's no Survivor picks because, of course, everyone now in the world because of the Los Angeles Chargers, who is still available to compete in a Survivor, likely dead at this point. Remember to smash the like button for the video. Time code us in the comment section, sub to Mayo Media Network, and subscribe to the Mayo Media Network newsletter. Obviously, you can always get this show a day in advance just by subscribing to that, opening the email, and clicking the link. But this week, there are two secret shows. You can also get the 2022 PGA Tour season preview with myself and Geoff Fienberg as a hidden link in the newsletter this week. We have both ends of our golf draft already done. They're available on Mayo Media Network. The results will be in the newsletter as well. I believe that show is coming out Thursday, maybe Friday, but hey, if you want to watch it right now, go nuts. It's an hour and a half of good golf goodness because golf actually starts this time next week, which means next Monday, Geoff and I are going to have a golf show for the next 40-something weeks, because that's just how this works. This show, obviously, is not going anywhere. We'll have Week 18, plus we'll have the full complement of playoff shows, as we always do. So you'll be with us until February on the football show, and you can make the easy transition over to golf to fill up the time. Sub to Mayo Media Network as well. I'm giving away some entries into the gigantic Race for the Mayo Cup one-and-done pool for golf this year. It's $125 to enter. You can 5 max it. There's $500,000 of guaranteed money, but if you rate and review and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast right now, leave a 5-star review, something nice, Twitter handle, and email. You're in a draw to get one of a few free entries into that. We'll be announcing that on the golf show next week. Let's bring him in. He's in Florida right now, so he has no camera. He doesn't really have a good microphone, and he's still, I'm guessing, pretty sad that the Chargers lost. It's Geoff Fienberg. What's up?
Hi, Pat. Hi, everybody. Apparently it's my fault. People lost their eliminators. So I'm sorry, guys. I take it on the chin.
Sad news. How you feeling?
Every day since, I have woken up feeling slightly better. But I don't know. I mean, Tim is sort of like the historian in all of this, and he could probably come up with something off the top of his head that I may have forgotten or I elephant tranquilized out of my memory. Hard to do when you're on vacation because it's illegal to sort of take the pills across the border that were required for the elephant tranquilizer that I was so in desperate need of on Sunday nights. But I don't know. I can't even quantify it. I mean, there have been bad losses, but, those were with bad teams. Like teams that weren't going to a playoff, weren't competing for a playoff, losses that, sting and hurt. That's a lot. Like I can't find one in my memory. That's the worst loss. That's probably the worst I felt after a Charger game since the Patriot playoff loss of a couple years ago. And I've been real proud of myself this year. I don't know if the audience will believe me, but I think I've handled most of the situations well this year. Like, obviously, I was excitable after the Dallas loss, but, I handled the Baltimore loss. Like, hey, we'll take a game like that on the chin. Even the Chief loss, it was almost too good of a loss. I don't know what happened. Like, the players, I don't want to make COVID excuses, but our defense, they were down guys too. But we were down like our top 6 defensive players in that game, and then we allowed Rex Burkhead to be Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. I'm still sick about it. And I'd be embarrassed to like literally disclose the number probably on how much money the Houston Texans have cost me the last 2 weeks. But the money is so irrelevant to my soul, which is trying to recover. This is hard. I allowed myself to believe, Pat. That's the saddest part, is I allowed myself to believe things could actually be different. This coach, this quarterback, but this is literally everything that happened in all the previous eras. A team that's loaded with talent that now no longer even controls its own destiny and has to fight for everything. I will be devastated and just have to live with the results of what I assume is coming down the pipe.
Okay, well, more on that in a second, but let's see if I can get the camera to switch here. Of course, the camera is no longer switching. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Back on me. Paul's on vacation, so it's just a one-man band with me today. So apologies for the production quality. Taking a bit of a slip this time around. I want to recommend that everyone play in the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Listeners League. That link is available down in the description. Only 1,750 spots this week. It was 1,000 last week and filled by like Wednesday. So you might want to go reserve your spot now. But I want to bring them in because we were talking about this Chargers-Texans game before it even started on Sunday, and for once, we actually agreed on something. It is not the coin who's riding a heater right now. It is Tim Undercust.
Tim Undercust.
That's not my name.
Heard it was. But we even said that how does it make a difference that the Texans are missing their entire defense when their defense is no good?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You can say, well, the Chargers had injuries, but the Texans had everybody out. So
Chargers didn't have injuries.
Or they had absences. But, like, doesn't matter. The Texans had significantly more absences, even though those players aren't very good. Yes, tough loss. This is probably the toughest loss of a playoff team since that Patriots loss to the Dolphins to knock them out of a bye and ending their season a couple of years ago. Like, that was probably the last really, really big upset loss that really shook up the playoffs. Because, as Geoff said, the Chargers no longer control whether they make the playoffs. There are teams that do, the Colts, the Raiders, and another team. But the Chargers now need some help, and they very well may get it. But the
loss cost them about 40 points on playoff probability, guys.
Oh yeah,
they were around 75 going into the game, and they're about 35 right now. Which, I'll be honest, according to a lot of the metrics, they actually. Now this is before, I haven't looked since the Wentz news, and I don't know how that will change things, but I was actually surprised how, even though they don't control their own destiny, according to the smart models, they have just as high or higher than a chance than the teams that actually do. So that's confusing.
Because the teams that do all have harder schedules. That's why. For example, the team in Miami has to play Tennessee and New England, two playoff teams. The Raiders have to play the Colts and the Chargers. Baltimore has to play the Rams. The Patriots have to play the Dolphins, who are above 500. So all the teams that control things have to play harder schedules than Los Angeles does. That's why. Yeah, I mean, this is not good. You're very well going to have a very good chance you're going to have a win and in situation next week with the Raiders. That could very well be the case.
I don't know. It's all disheartening. To end the season and to not get Justin Herbert his first playoff loss, to just experience that so they're more ready to go above and beyond next year. To not make the playoffs this year literally means they have to go next year and do things I want them to do without having never experienced a playoff game.
Maybe their head coach could worry less about trying to preen in front of the cameras and figure out how to stop the rush as a defensive guy.
What?
I don't know.
Hold on. Listen. I'm missing the context of the comment about my coach.
Your coach loves to show off in front of the cameras and pretend like real football guys know what he's doing. Well, the Texans are putting 41 up on him. How about he keeps himself?
Okay, I don't know what comment. I don't know what comment that is.
Last week when he was strutting around like the cock of the walk after a loss.
Oh.
I'd like to see him.
I want to say something on that. And
Burkhead ran for like 200.
That was a point.
Yards.
Yeah, no, I said they made. Listen, I could have walked into the ocean. Okay, I contemplated it. And that's one of the reasons I'm like mad at the Chargers. You can't post a clip from the Monday presser that you like last week, the one Tim's referring to, where he kind of made it like, if you know football, you know what I'm doing. But not. Let me see Monday after the most horrific loss. Anthony Lynn doesn't lose the game. That's where I am. I don't want to make changes, but after the Chiefs game, like I really got to a place mentally where like I didn't think they were going to win anything this year, but I was 121%. Everything is good. Everything is going in the right direction. The absolute right people are in the right places. And then you go do what happened last week, and I don't know. And I I'll own it. Like if I, to watch hypothetically Tua get a playoff game that I won't.
Stop it. Let's not talk about that yet.
No, well, I don't know. That's just the reality of a situation. I admit firstly, I made a bet on the Dolphins to make the playoffs like December 10th or something. I got the paid more than some of my Super Bowl futures on teams just for them to make the playoffs. So while I'm going to get cattle prodded in the rear, might profit a little bit from it, but it would be hyper demoralizing when Joe Burrow and Tua get a playoff game and Herbert doesn't. Like, I can't dance around the fact. I'll own when I'm right, and I'll own when I'm dead effing wrong.
Also, Jalen Hurts might get in the playoffs as well. So 3 of the top 4 from that draft class might
there
get
it
in.
is. Yeah, that would sting. Yeah, if anyone would argue with me that Herbert's not a top 3 building block in the league, I'd tell them to, go piss on that fire. But
I don't know if he's top 3. Like
it's not a reasonable case. It's definitely a reasonable.
Yeah, listen, you can make the argument top 3. I don't think I'd have him in my top 3. He'd be like 5 or 6.
I said building block. That includes players that haven't been paid $400 million.
Certainly isn't a quarterback who went first overall this year.
That's all I meant. Like when I make that comment, I'm taking the best players out of the game.
Oh, so Mahomes isn't included in this.
Yeah, Allen and Mahomes have already signed $380 million contracts. They're no longer building blocks. They are they're the temples. So that's what I mean. I am not saying he's top 3 today to win you a football game. Maybe people could put him there, but I'm not. He's not better than Allen or Mahomes.
No, a building block would be like the guy who's about to win the 3rd time Offensive Rookie of the Week award in New York. That guy.
Who?
The quarterback in New York who's about to win his 3rd.
Okay, well, to be fair, and listen, this is what I'm talking about. When I say building block, that's the sort of
exactly, and
that's who I'm comparing him against. It's those guys, not the guys that have been paid $300 million.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. And I think Zach's probably a top 5, top 7 building block too, and I'm with you with that about her.
Boy, I hope he's a top 7 building block. There, according to Jeff's parameters, there's only so many guys it could be.
Yeah, no, well, it's the finite group of quarterbacks drafted. It's like a 3-year window of young quarterback drafts, I guess. That's what it is.
Yeah. So according to
involve Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So Zach Wilson is a top 7 quarterback who's come into the league over the last 3 years. Is that your contention, Tim?
I think that is definitely my contention.
Okay. On Sunday, Geoff, after watching Zoomer Zach and those mighty Jets defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tim was going on about how no longer is Zach Wilson Patrick Mahomes. He's actually Steve Young. So he's went from currently the best quarterback in football to a top 10 quarterback of all time. These are the comps that Tim is making. He's a top 7. He's a top. No, you know who Zach Wilson is? He's young Joe Flacco is who he is.
No. Joe Flacco didn't have that type of mobility.
Yes, he did. Yes, he absolutely did. Yes, he did.
Steve Young went to BYU. Zach went to BYU. Steve Young was in the shadow of somebody else for the start of his career. Zach's in the shadow of Lawrence and
of Mike White. Who's Zach in the shadow
of Trevor Lawrence and the fact that the Giants are the bigger team in that market.
So you're comparing that doesn't
Zach
make
got
sense
the mobility,
with the Montana dynamic.
Zach got the mobility and the arm strength, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves, and he just wins games, and he's learning to be disciplined. He is the Steve Young 2.0. If Steve Young lived in 2022 as a starting NFL quarterback, he would be Zach Wilson. And that's where we are. That's not like hyperbole. Those are just the facts on the ground.
Okay, I do want to say that he has more Steve Young than maybe Mahomes.
Yes,
so
for sure. I'm
not necessarily agreeing with you, but his ability to run around with a chicken with his head cut off, Steve Young was really good at that. So sure. What do you want me to say?
Well, I think you guys are both I think you're both sleeping on Joe Flacco's rushing ability from early in his career, right when he came out of Delaware.
it wasn't quite as high end talented as what Zach got.
Well, okay, according to you, when we were sitting down, you told us that Zach Wilson had 250 rushing yards already on the season, not knowing that his one run in that game essentially matched what he had in all of his previous games combined.
Well, he had been hurt for several games, so I guess that's fair. Look, we're not here to regale how awesome Zach Wilson was again, and a third straight game without a pick, and that the corner's already been turned. And so we have 2 games left to see him sort of thrive before next year where things get really spicy.
And I mean, just sort of like when it comes to Wilson, just sort of like the conversation from a year ago that we had, it's imperative to win out. You already have Seattle's draft pick, right?
Yep.
You still have your own draft pick too, though.
Yeah, but you know what? You also need to develop a winning culture. And that's just simply more important. And there's nobody who's a serious person who would say anything different.
And Pat, guess what? They're at 6. Like a win more or 2 wins, they get to 11, and that's better than 6.
No, I believe they're currently 5-7 or 4-6. No, they're 4.
I heard 4 and 6.
Yeah, they're 4. Their own pick is 4. Seattle's is 6th. That's a fantastic spot to be in. Take a top tier defensive player and a top tier receiver, and then you be the Bengals of 2022. Like that's where we're going. That's where this thing is pointing.
I can't possibly argue with the fact that you have 2 top 10 picks. That's a fantastic thing. There's no debate.
Well,
and with the skill position players that we have and the defensive players, the Bengals of 2022 are what the Jets are looking like for next year. That's where we're headed. That's where the ship is pointing towards. That's our true north. And people better be ready. And you get Devonta Adams on one side. You draft another top tier receiver. You've got Elijah Moore. You have Davis. You have Michael Carter, who's looking at like a fantastic running back. And Zach, Carl Lawson's coming back next year. Didn't see him all year. He's like signing a brand new free agent. Someone else in the top 7 or 8 you're going to take in the first round to play defense. Marcus May comes back healthy. Mosley's starting to play good football. Things are shaping up to be positive for next season. Again, there's really no disputing it unless you just want to be a Jets hater. Things are looking up, and we should be happy. I refuse to let yesterday's nonsense put me in a bad mood. I'm in a good mood.
So you beat the Jags, all of a sudden, clear path to the Super Bowl next year.
I didn't say that. I said that we look like a team. What are the Bengals this year? 8-6 going into New Year's Day. I think the Jets could be there. 8-6.
Okay.
9-6, whatever the Bengals are. That's what it should be.
When we talk about accuracy, let's recap last week's picks, only because the coin is currently on what Tim would love to refer to as a heater in this situation, because the coin has now gone 12-4 in consecutive weeks, over 10 wins in 4 of the past 5 weeks to surge up the spread picks standings. The coin, I can't even believe I can hold this without a glove on. It's unbelievable how hot the coin is. Up to 123-17 on the season. Now, 1 game behind Geoff Fienberg for second place at 124-116. I was, let's see here, 9-7 last week, a tread water week, but pulled into the lead. 3 games over Geoff at 127-113. Tim, you're now 6 games behind the coin with 2 weeks to go.
It's a hard road to hoe. What can I say?
You also lost your free money teaser.
I did because of Baltimore, but I mean, I didn't realize that Huntley wasn't going to play when I made that teaser. They would never have been on it had I thought Josh Johnson was starting. But
so whoever you take for your super lock this week, that team's quarterback is getting COVID.
Well, that's unfortunate for you to hear then.
Oh my God.
Just why are you doing this to him?
You know, we are on fumes. My picks record down the stretch, I've lost my nice lead on you. I'm now trailing the chart, like everything about me. I am literally trying to get to the gas station with nothing in the tank right now. I am dying to the finish.
Well, you were the only one who won their super lock last week, because we got Jimmy G League in the Thursday night game, and turns out he was playing with like a broken thumb the entire time. That actually tracks based on how he played. I lost with San Francisco. Tim lost with whoever the hell he is that he picked, but you won. Yeah, you had Green Bay, and I had San Francisco. Geoff had Kansas
Chiefs.
City, who just absolutely shellacked the Steelers. So I'm 12-4 on Super Locks. Geoff still has a chance to tie me on the year if I go 0-2 and he goes 2-0 the rest of the season. As he's at 10-6, Tim is now 7-9, fighting for 500. Your free money picks are 5-14 this year, although that does not sound good. It's not as bad as it seems, as it is your best year ever, Tim.
That's right. And I will say this was the hardest week of the year for me to find. I actually, at one point, I thought there would be no free money this week, but I did find a way to put one together. But I'm not loving it. It's a really tough week.
All right, well, let's dig into it then. Let's start with no Thursday games. So the early Sunday slate, Philadelphia and the Washington Footballs on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Washington is a 3.5-point underdog. 46.5 is the over-under. Heineke will get the start, but we'll see some Kyle Allen in this game as well. No Miles Sanders for the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess, Tim, we'll start with you. Why is this only 3.5?
Because these two teams are far closer than it looks. I think the spread is too big. Washington has got to be the play here. Washington's on a short list for Super Locks. I love Washington in this spot. They're nowhere nearly as bad as they looked last week, coming off a super short week where they have been ravaged with coronavirus issues. Then the Eagles, I mean, the books now, the Eagles, it was tied 3-3 at the half with the Giants. It took forever for them to take control. The Eagles are not nearly as good as they looked last week, and Washington is nowhere nearly as bad as they looked last week. In Washington, in a divisional game, I think that there's going to be a lot of people say, why are the Eagles so short? But it's because, I mean, if you look at the numbers, these two teams are remarkably close. I mean, if I look at like projections for this week, 538 has this as a 55-45 game. That again, in their opinion, the Eagles should only be a 1.5 favorite. I agree. I think that this line is way too large. Then to get the hook is criminal. Give me Washington. That's got to be the play here. It has to be the right part.
Jeffrey, the first bet I made this week was the Eagles when they opened at -3 on DraftKings Sportsbook. It's 3.5. In other places, it's already up to 4. I would expect to see this spread get bigger and bigger and bigger, much like Dirk Diggler and his rise to stardom throughout the course of the week. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'd be trusting 538 after what Nate Silver's tweeting out these days. But
I was going to say, it's pretty ironic, like the irony of Tim referencing 538 to prove his point after years of previous comments.
Well, no, it doesn't prove my point. It just sort of underscores what I think, which is that these two teams are much closer than most people think. And I wouldn't be surprised if the books at some point just say, just give us the Eagle money. It's dead money. To take a stance. Like the Eagles cannot be the right side in this game. They may win, but I just can't imagine going to the counter and picking Philadelphia here. It just seems like it's got to be wrong. It has to be wrong.
Looking at the PFF grades on both of these teams, they would have the Eagles as being the 7th best team in football, with the Washington football team being the 22nd best team in football, behind the Denver Broncos and the Chargers and Ravens and Vikings and teams like that, where the Eagles are better than teams like the Colts and the Bills and the Chiefs and that kind of thing. I don't know if I necessarily believe that.
But if that's the case, you can throw those numbers out. They don't mean anything.
I don't necessarily know about that, because they're grading each part of the team. And realistically, when we look at the Washington team right now, like, they're really having trouble running the ball. Their defense is beat up. They've gotten progressively worse on the defensive side of the ball after a quick spike after Chase Young ended up going out. And the Eagles defense just continues to bring it every single week. And they can beat up on crappy teams, and Washington's a crappy team. Like, this is kind of a perfect matchup for them. Like, I think this line gets to like 6.5 by the time Sunday comes along. What do you think, Geoff?
Okay, so you finally hit on it there, Pat. It's that Eagles defense that, like, I literally had to double take the stats, and it almost happened because I saw their defensive coordinator getting talked up as potential head coach candidate. I'm like, what the hell's gone on in Philly? Let me deep dive this. And they have been outstanding, even with some personnel issues, a part of the year where they have, where they really did struggle, but it seems like it's really all come together there. And the Eagles have not, I don't think they've lost a game to a losing team. All their losses are to winning teams. Washington losing team. I like the vibe in Philly right now. I mean, the one case for Washington, Tim did make it. It's like we all just watched them give up a 50 burger on Sunday Night Football versus America's team. Hence, they're god awful. I just think Washington, the Philly finds a way to win and get me over 4. I'm not as convinced that I'll get closing line value like you are, though, Pat.
No, but I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. But
Not anymore. That's crazy. I'd actually look. I hope you and Pizzola maybe talk about it on Friday, because I saw this stat. I wish I had it in front of me, but closing line value has pretty much meant absolutely nothing in football this year. It is crazy.
Well, Tim, we were
We're also
talking.
teasing Washington up, by the way. Washington's going to 10.5.
Okay, Washington.
Which again is that perfect spot to tease a team up. But anyway.
Well, you and I talked about this on Sunday when I was like, oh no, like I had the Bengals at -3, and by the time everyone was out come Sunday, I think it was Bengals -7.5 or 8.5 or something like that.
you conceded the loss.
Yeah, I was like,
That's how crazy CLV's been.
Yeah, it's like I'm definitely gonna lose. I have too good a value on this game.
No, but the season has been like that. It's been so weird.
No, I agree. That's why I was actually somewhat concerned about what was going on. Fortunately, I just kind of let it ride, and obviously the Bengals kicked the crap out of them. So it's going to be Philadelphia for me and Geoff, and Washington for Cust and the Coin. That's where we're going with this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tampa Bay at the New York Jets. The Jets are currently 13.5-point underdogs at home. 45.5 is the over-under. No Chris Godwin, no Leonard Fournette. Mike Evans is going to be out this week, whether it be with the ankle or being on the COVID list. Although it looks like Tim's boy in a revenge game is going to be activated with Brashad Perriman making his return. The original member of the Bomb Squad, Tim, from back, 2 years ago when the Jets had the best receiving core in football, according to you, led by Rashad. What's that?
It was last year.
Oh, last year. That's when they had the best receiving core in football. I forgot about that until this year when they had it. And now it's not like trash again. They need to completely revamp and get two guys that are better than their best guy right now. That's what you said earlier in the day. Feels like Tampa should kick the crap out of them, but Tampa on the road this year, just that they're not covering these huge of spreads. They did it last week against Carolina, but I don't know. I'm with you, Tim. The Jets are looking a bit friskier these days.
Yeah, I feel like this is sort of a get you over type of game where Tampa wins like 20-10 sort of thing. So I guess we will take the Jets against the number. Of course, Jets and Tampa is the game where you and Geoff bullied me one year into putting them on a free money parlay. I lost because you and guys insisted I put the Jets against the Buccaneers.
You guaranteed they were going to blow them out, but you weren't. So we were just giving you advice based on your own opinion.
Anyway, bullied me into it.
You didn't get bullied. You referred, they had a bye week the week after, and you referred to the Tampa game as, quote, the bye before the bye, and you wouldn't put them on a free money play.
Well, I ended up doing that. You bullied me like Daniel Plainfield bullies people, and it basically ended up the same way for me, that they drank my milkshake, and I lost. But anyway, we'll take the Jets here, I guess. Tampa's got stuff to play for, but yeah, it's an early game. Tampa on the road. The Jets are frisky. The Jets can run the ball pretty effectively. The Jets had a ton of running yards last week. I expect them to do that. I expect Zach to be careful with the ball. Yeah, I quoted a 20-10 sort of score. I think that's where it is. Over-under is 45.5. I really would like the under in this ball game.
Oh, see, I would go the other way with this. I'm taking the Jets as well to cover the 13.5, but I see it more like a 34-24 type of game where the Bucs can post as many points as they want because the Jets defense is god-awful, and they can do it any way that they want, whether it be through the air or run it just completely up the middle, and they'll probably get a defensive score in this game too. But the Bucs defense isn't all that great. I mean, they were able to stymie Carolina last week, but Carolina is terrible. It's so out of sync. It's kind of ridiculous that the Jets seem spry enough to post 20. If they post 20, I think they cover the number, Geoff.
Yeah. Wow. Let's make it a Jets party on the number. A late December day in Gotham, Tampa, between Arians being out this game with COVID, and they've just got a lot of injuries. Postseason on the mind. I do kind of agree with Pat that they will score plenty because the Jets D is so bad, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think Tampa gets away with a win, doesn't cover. Jets are I think the Jets can sort of hold their own here, ironically. Give me the Jets.
The coin may be the sensible one of the four of us, as the coin is taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 13.5. But when I looked at a lot of these big favorites this week, they're not all going to cover. So which one do I want to go with all the points? So Jets for me. Miami and Tennessee, a game with a lot of AFC ramifications. Still currently -3 Tennessee at DraftKings Sportsbook. 41 is the over-under, seeing it 3.5 at some other places. So expected to drift towards that number unless people are really digging Miami after. Geoff, what did you say in that game? That Tua, after they got up 10-0, just could have taken knees the entire time?
They could have kneeled it.
Yeah.
After the pick six, they could have kneeled out the game and won. It was, listen, Miami, some teams are pulling like a 2-7 when dealing with COVID. Miami's pulled ace king or kings, and the Raiders are pulling aces. But what can you do? It just is what it is. What an embarrassment of a situation. That would have been a fun game with Taysom Hill. Those teams, I was really looking forward to it. We spoke about it last week at great length, how the dynamic set up for what could be a really interesting game. Now the game at hand here, guys. The reals, the originals, the friends of the program know, or I'll remind them, I am the loser in the friends division right now. Spoken many a time about, all my friends who've got merino pennants from their boobies trips to Florida in the 80s. And my college roommate loves Le Titan, and they're all friends with each other as we are. And the fact that I am on the outside looking in on the friends division, it's so hurtful. I'm in Florida. My buddy loves the Dolphins. He just had a kid. I normally go get some chachkas, and I'm not packing a single thing with a goddamn ocean mammal in my luggage. I can't even look at it right now, but it's my own fault. I'm disgusted at myself, and I'm proud of the Dolphins. Ironically, I think I'm proud of Tua. It's almost like since that Deshaun stuff happened.
All right, enough.
No, but you can't not give credit when it's due, Tim.
Yeah.
If you went from 1-7 to 8-7, like
who
why
beat,
is it different for them?
They beat Baltimore in a weird game on Thursday. Other than
that game is huge. Who'd they beat Baltimore? What's the difference between Baltimore, the Chargers, and Miami right now? Common opponents. And it all comes down to the Chargers losing to Baltimore and Miami
no, you're right. It's
Baltimore.
the greatest accomplishment in football.
No.
Hold on. How come when you stop. When Tim laid out how the Jets were going to surge to the playoff and how good they were, he essentially had them penciling in W's in exactly the same games as the Dolphins have just won. And Tim wanted all the credit for the Jets, but none of the credits go for the Dolphins for actually winning these games, huh?
In other words, the fellow who you claimed, although clearly wasn't, was trolling me about the Dolphins winning out was right. He wasn't trolling.
No, it's the irony of that it's actually all come together. He was still trolling you.
I don't know that was a troll still. I actually think that was sincere. And the sincerity coming through. Look, this is a bad matchup for Tennessee. This is the Dolphins.
You're reverse. You're trying to reverse curse the Dolphins again?
No. But look, this is this Tennessee team was ripped apart by the Patriots and by the Texans. And even though if the Niners didn't turn the ball over, the San Francisco, the type of ferocious pass rush that you've seen out of the Dolphins the last few weeks is the kryptonite to the Titans because they can't run the ball right now. And Tannehill is not good under pressure. And I expect them to blitz the heck out of the Titans and win the game. This is going to we're going to need New England for everything next week because the Patriots will beat Jacksonville and they'll be in the playoffs. So we'll need the Patriots next week to save us from a apocalypse.
Weren't you even joking? Like, I know you're being facetious, but you're like, I'd love to see Tua play a playoff game and get his ass kicked.
It would be a delight if he were to make the playoffs.
You don't understand. You would take it as a delight. The Dolphin fan would realize the accomplishment that they got by making there and would be thrilled that Tua got the 4 quarters of playoff experience.
Look, he played poorly last night again, but it didn't matter because their opponent didn't have an offensive line. And it wouldn't have mattered who you had at quarterback last night. They couldn't do anything. As soon as the ball was snapped, the Dolphins on 3- and 4-man rushes were home. So there's nothing you can do. I expect them to do similar stuff, although not quite as badly, but similar stuff to Tennessee. I think the Titans are going to struggle in this game. This is until they get Derrick Henry back. They only win games sort of through fluke. The Rams game, sort of fluky. The Niners game, sort of fluky. Like until they get back Derrick Henry and can get back to who they are just a trick and hoping that they're just hoping that things break right for them. It's a very flawed team otherwise. The Dolphins are well set to beat them right now, and I anticipate the Dolphins will. I'll pick the Dolphins here.
So
Okay.
I'm taking the Dolphins in this game as well. And as of right now, it appears like Julio and Nick Westbrook-Ikena are not going to play as they were put on the COVID list. I don't know exactly what the new rules are for playing on the weekend and not playing on the weekend, but right now let's just assume that they're out, not they're huge contributors.
Listen,
anyway.
I don't want to play to the right wing. I don't want to play to the right wing guys, but considering that they're the team from Florida and they're getting every single COVID break go their way. Nothing is working against them COVID-wise.
Oh, no, the Dolphins are like one of the luckiest teams in football this year. Look, they're 8-7, and they're completely a fraud team.
Stop it!
We know they're going to get crushed, whether it's this week, which I don't think is going to happen, next week, which I think it will happen, when the Patriots probably on prime time humiliate them, or if they were to ever get into a playoff game against one of those teams at home field, then they'll crush them. Sooner or later, the Dolphins are going to get theirs.
Okay, well, there's one dynamic that I can only hope, because if you play the machines, you know, and you speak about that Raven thing as a fluke or whatever, Tim, like you use the word hinge game. In the end, the Ravens game is the goddamn hinge game.
It was very critical.
And you can't give them respect for that still.
It was a fluky Thursday night game. I'm sorry. I don't.
Like the Ravens game is the differentiating factor in the teams that are fighting for that spot. The games versus the Ravens. Miami beat them. The spot is theirs. I can't take anything away from them.
I mean,
the only thing I can hope, I can only pray to the heavens that Tennessee's got like a good game in them. That Tennessee, one of these teams just played on Monday versus a third string quarterback. And the other team, the week after playing the Jets and other easy teams, like this is a step up in class, hopefully for Miami, but one team played on Thursday, one team played on Monday. I can only pray to the heavens that dynamic can work for my favorite team. I'm taking Tennessee, but I don't believe in it.
I'm taking Miami for the purposes of I think it would just make for good content on this show. It will be attracting.
Well, no, I refuse to
none of the real money. Oh yeah, you sound really calm and everything like that. Shut up for a second. So Baltimore loses the game to Miami, which Geoff has properly described as a hinge game. They win all these games. They don't get any credit from you. Jets beat the Jags. Zach Wilson is Steve Young.
Well, I've been saying nice things about Zach Wilson for weeks, and that was a really important win.
So why can't Tua be Drew Brees?
I mean, he's more like Drew Brees of last year, where the team is winning despite him, not because of him. Okay.
No, but I mean, like, why can't we make?
You talking about a hinge game? The hinge game was in week 1 when they beat the Patriots on a fluke fumble. That was the hinge game.
No, then they went 1-7.
Aren't going to win the division.
They preceded that by going 1-7. You cannot look at the week 1 result.
But that's the hinge game. That's why the Patriots aren't going to win the division and the Bills are. Like, that's why the playoffs are setting up the way they are, is because of that game. That's actually the most decisive game.
I mean,
He's not wrong in that sense.
Yeah, but
that's actually a good point.
Hold on. Hold on.
Patriots,
you can reverse engineer that game all you want. You can say that the Harris fumble, was the reason that Miami won, or the phantom roughing the passer call, which ended up becoming a touchdown for the Patriots to give them the lead in the first place. Like, what are we talking about here? You just choose to remember what you want to remember.
Yeah.
Yes, what I remember is the Dolphins, like Geoff said, they get pocket kings dealt to them all the time.
Not all the time.
All the time.
Maybe they get a horrible, but I'm saying, they got to play a team that's set up well against how they play defense, and then they got to play a 4-string quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, it's outrageous, which is why they're going to get it.
Now, if you want to talk about getting the breaks all the time, we'll get to that when we get to the the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, well, let's get to the next game then. So Miami for everyone besides Geoff. He's taking Tennessee. Jacksonville and New England. Ooh, this is not going to be pretty. 15.5 is what the Patriots are favored by at home. 41.5 is the over-under. If there's one thing I've learned throughout the course of the past 5 years or more doing the show with you guys, rookie quarterback, Bill Belichick, Patriots blow this team out. I will take the minus 15.5. It's on a short list for Super Lock for me. Geoff.
I got nothing else to add. So I agree with you. Them versus a rookie. I need the games for the Patriots to remain important going to week 18, more than Tim does, I promise you. And I want to quickly just correct something, because I just made a comment saying the Raiders have gotten every break. And I'm sure there are Raider fans hearing that, like, are you insane? Do you not know what happened to us this year? So I meant like strictly COVID. And if there's any team that deserves COVID luck, it's probably the Raiders, based on the shit show they have dealt with. But
yeah.
I have nothing to add. Patriots, huge.
Yeah, the Raiders just lost like 5 members of their starting defense today to COVID, by the way.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. Wow.
So there you go. It happened in real time. What was? I mean, this was. I don't know if it's on Lawrence or if it's on the play calling, and maybe they didn't have a play ready. But the end of that game against the Jets, why did they spike the ball on 3rd down instead of just trying to run a slant play into the end zone or something like that when you only had 2 plays left? And then the call was wrong. The call coming in was so wrong on 4th down that like no one knew where to set up, and they ended up with an illegal shift. Like, the fuck was that?
Occam's razor, simplest solution. Answer is always almost always the correct one. The 2-12 team is terrible. It doesn't know what it's doing. Who's not used to those circumstances, and we're dumb. That's what happened.
Or
that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing.
They don't know what they're doing.
For Trevor,
or do they know what they're doing so much that they're just they're protecting their draft pick?
No, again, NFL teams don't do that. I'm with you guys on this. We take the Patriots here. I don't have much to say. Geoff can be happy to know that the Patriots should have a relevant game, because the Bills losing next week with them winning would give them the division. But if they flex that Dolphins game into the Sunday night game, if it's a win in for Miami, then that would be a disadvantage to you, I suppose. But I don't know. We're taking the Patriots either which way here.
Okay, so the next one is currently off the board. So we'll do it by the spread that I last saw it at when it was up. So Vegas at Indianapolis. Carson Wentz has been placed on the COVID list, and he is unvaccinated, so he is out for this game. He may even be out for Week 18 game, which could potentially push them out of the playoffs. We'll see how that's going on right now. -1.5 was the last line I saw on DraftKings Sportsbook before it was completely taken off the board. The total is off the board right now. So we'll play this as Colts -1.5. It could be Sam Ellinger or Jeffrey. It could be Phillip Rivers at quarterback. What are the chances of that happening?
I would have a new favorite team. I would. I would be so, yeah, I literally like, it's the best football feeling I've had just seeing that they're thinking about it. And honestly, the Saints should have called them at halftime last night, if we're being perfectly honest. They should have sent a Learjet to come pick them up. A really awkward situation. I don't really know what to make of it, but wouldn't it be Phillip, hand it off 1st and 2nd down, go make a pre-snap read on 3rd. Like, done. Woo!
That would end so poorly. Oh my goodness.
And I think he's going to reject it, because like, what's the point of, like, so you're going to come back and then Max Crosby's going to smoke your blind side? Like, part of me doesn't want to see that either, right?
I'll make this easy. Oakland's got to be the play.
They play in Las Vegas. That's not a real team you're talking about.
Sorry. The Colts have nobody at quarterback. I can't pick them. They can run the ball, but yeah, I'm sorry. I like the road dome spot for the Raiders here. I like everything setting up. The Raiders, I hate the term control one's own destiny, because something that's destined is something that's also outside of your control. We need a better term for that. But the Raiders control whether they make the playoffs or not on their own by winning this week and then beating the Bolts. Things are set up for them nicely. And as Geoff said, this team is this team has gone through the most turmoil of any team in the NFL this year, and have at every opportunity when I'm as guilty as anybody of declaring this team dead and buried, and they just keep coming back to win in tough spots. They did it again. And I got to pick them. I think they're going to win the game now and set up what could be a game for quite potentially a de facto playoff game between them and the Chargers next week.
I hope. I could only be so lucky. At the way the Chargers are going, that would be best case scenario, right?
And a game where we have no idea whose fans will be there, because the team that doesn't have anybody in the stands at home against
no. I'll tell you how that would work. That would be the first time where the local Vegas fans would be allowed to go see their game. Like, the visiting traveling fans wouldn't have spiked the ticket prices to make it annoying, and there would be so many seats available that the like vibrant Vegas locals that like go to the hockey games will come to that game. So it will actually probably end up being the one game where Vegas does get a home field advantage. But add that on to the fact of reasons why this team has been truly remarkable this year. The coaching situation, the horrific, I don't want to talk about it, situation off the field, and the fact that this team plays with maybe the second, third worst home field in all of football, coming from a dynamic where they were always proud of their home field. The fact that they are like probably comfortably going to have hit their win total over. This is going to be dead wrong. If we do our season preview show, I thought this was going to be a horrible football team. Let alone when the tragedies and the distractions were happening, I thought they'd fall off a cliff and get to being that horrible football team. And every step of the way, they have done the opposite of what I thought they were capable of. And I can only give them all the credit in the world for not only having a pulse, but controlling where that pulse can go. I marvel at what they've accomplished. Give me them.
Yeah, their coach is going to win Coach of the Year if they win their last two games and make the playoff. It'll be unanimous.
Do you think does he have to split that with Gruden?
No, the same way that you remember what year was it that Chuck Pagano had to miss because of his cancer treatment?
And Bruce Arians won. Yeah.
And won Coach of the Year because of what they overcame. Bisaccia will be the unanimous Coach of the Year if they win their next two games to make the playoffs.
I don't necessarily buy that. I think that's a much different narrative situation than what we're talking about. I think the league just kind of wants to forget that the Raiders are doing things and just kind of brush all of that attention off to the side. Where, Chuck Pagano, he had to undergo cancer treatment. It was a really uplifting story and everything like that. It's not super uplifting with this. There's nothing really uplifting at all about the Raiders besides the fact they're playing well on the field. But I don't think anyone wants to remember the other stuff if you're the league.
I don't know. There's a market that needs to be advertised as a jewel in the league, and this team has overcome a lot of adversity. Of course, different type of adversity. I don't quite agree with you.
You want to bet on it?
I mean, if they win their last two games, he'll be such a betting favorite to win Coach of the Year. I don't even know what we could set odds at, right? It wouldn't be reasonable.
What do you think, Geoff? What do you think that the odds would be? Do you think he would win? We don't even know what his fucking name is.
Yeah, I don't know. What's funny is I follow a bunch of guys on the internet, Pat, who are like obsessed with the awards markets. And some of them I feel like they've literally bet on everybody so they could just say they've got a winning ticket in a month and a half. I don't know. But they constantly follow the ebbs and flows of these markets. And I have not seen Bisaccia's name brought up at all in this conversation. And for all like my compliments of the Raiders, Tim saying that is the first time I actually thought about him winning Coach of the Year.
He's not even on the board at DraftKings Sportsbook right now, and they have, 18 coaches listed.
No, that's right. But if they win their last two games, I think he'll get every vote. I don't know who could possibly vote any other way.
I mean, it looks like we might be going for the Rodgers-LaFleur double-double here for
LaFleur's
MVP
a
and Coach of the
terrible
Year.
vote.
Well, he's probably going to win Coach of the Year.
I don't think so.
I mean, he's the betting. Who do you think that the five betting favorites are right now for Coach of the Year of DraftKings Sportsbook? Tim?
I mean, Belichick.
Yes, he is fourth at plus 750.
Reed.
No, Reed is 60-1.
Wright.
Wright is second, 3-1.
You said LaFleur, so obviously LaFleur must be in the mix.
Yeah, plus 175. He is the betting favorite.
And if it were me and it was not Bisaccia, I would vote for Flores.
Flores is 22-1. He is the 9th favorite. Zach Taylor is plus 750. He is the 3rd favorite. And Mike Vrabel at 12-1 is the 5th favorite.
Yeah, I don't like either of those guys.
Okay. I don't think Vrabel's going to win, but if they can somehow pull off the 1 seed without having like their 3
Which they
best
can
skill
because
guys,
they hold the tiebreaker on the Chiefs.
why do you think I said it, Tim? Just for fucking kicks?
But they're not going to, because as we both picked the Dolphins this week.
Yeah. I mean, based on your record, that probably means that the Titans are going to win.
Okay. Can we just clarify something on the Dolphins Titans selections? Tim is literally just trying to reverse curse. I'm literally just picking what's in the best interest of the Chargers. Pat is picking what's in the best interest of the show. Like that's exactly how we picked that game.
So essentially we should just believe the coin who is picking Miami.
Then exactly. It's more legitimate than anything we've heard.
I take offense at you accusing me of having an ulterior motive.
You tried that. You tried to do that to Miami for the Monday Nighter, and then the moment that the Saints starting quarterback went out, you big up their 8th string quarterback, and they can't lose now. How did that work out?
I didn't appreciate just how devastated the offensive line was.
Oh yeah, or Ian Book sucks.
Well, again, you couldn't get a gauge on that last night because every single snap he had to run for his life. I mean, what do you do?
Well, Geoff, it was brought up to me that the reason, what is it now, 0-24? Notre Dame quarterbacks are in their past 24 NFL starts, that maybe having like an all-world offensive line at Notre Dame can make you look good when you play like Air Force 8 times a year and shit like that.
I don't know what to make of that. That stat, I mean, we got carrier pigeon that stat for 3 hours last night, and every time you read it, it's crazy.
Yeah, thanks people for continuing to send me that on Twitter, as if like the 17th time I missed it, but you, the 18th person, finally got my attention. Thanks. I know the Dolphins are currently in the playoffs. I know that Notre Dame hasn't had a quarterback win in the last 24 starts. I know all this stuff. Thank you kindly, but I don't need that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know everything. Do you?
Instead of wasting your time tweeting at me, go give this show a 5-star review. That's what you should do with your time.
Don't curse my 5-star reviews, pal.
That's what people should do with their time.
All right. So I think what we have here is the game of the early slate, at least. We have Kansas City at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 5.5 point, 5 or 5.5. I haven't
written 5 right now.
5. So I've seen 5.5 at other spots. This is one where I'm not getting good closing line value, so I feel like I should win this one. So 5 plus 5, Cincinnati. 50 is the over/under. I like Cincinnati in this game. Kansas City, finally, as we talked about last week, Geoff, even without Travis Kelce, they finally had that game where they just kicked the absolute shit out of their opponent. And for whatever reason, people thought that Pittsburgh was still good. They're not. And maybe they end up winning the North. Who knows? I don't necessarily know if Cincinnati outright wins this game, but I think that Cincinnati is very good. I still think that they're slightly underrated. And it's not that the Chiefs are overrated at this point, but playing like a ceiling offensive and defensive performance 2 weeks in a row is just going to be really tough. I can see this being one of those classic Kansas City games that we've seen over the past 2 years where the Bengals jump out like 21-0 somehow. The Chiefs battle back and win by 3. It reeks of that game.
It's hard to dispute any part of that.
I mean, you could dispute a lot of that.
No, I agree. It just reeks of probably a carbon copy of it.
Yeah, it just seems like all those like Texans games that Kansas City used to play feels like this is that.
Or the Browns game from earlier this season.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals are very well set up to play the Chiefs. They're one of the very, very, very few teams who can match them shot for shot in a shootout. Maybe the only team in the AFC that can really
The Bills can
really do that. Maybe the Bills can. Okay, the Bills would be the only other team, I suppose.
The Chargers could. We just saw that.
And we've seen 2 games of that. Maybe. Anyway, I think the Bengals are better positioned to do that. They are home. They're getting 5 points. I think maybe the Chiefs win by 3. I like the Bengals here. And because I expect that I should never have tweeted on Christmas night that Mayfield played his last competitive, meaningful game for the Browns, because I now know that somehow putting that into the universe has set up a situation whereby Bengals lose and the Browns win on Monday, and then that's a 1-game playoff for the division next week. Like that's where we're going with this. I regret that now. The Chiefs are going.
Are you saying you believe in the curse?
I do not, but I just have some bad luck with these sorts of things, and I just now can sense. I didn't realize the Browns still had this easy of a path to the division when I wrote them off. That was my own stupidity. Anyway, Chiefs by 3, Bengals cover.
Geoff?
Chiefs by 3, Bengals cover. The funny thing about the Bengals, guys, every time they've had big wins, they haven't reacted well to them. And I think we're going to see that a lot, to be perfectly honest, coming home. It's a playout like Hurts and Tua and Mac and Burrow and, God willing, Herbert. I don't disclude him, and lucky enough he could get there and fail. But I think there's still like a lot of growth that we need to see from these guys. I've got the Chiefs. The Bengals have yet to show me an ability to stack, right? They haven't shown me an ability to stack. So give me the Chiefs. But I love everything that's going on in Cincy. I'm so happy for Bengal fans.
Well, if you try to go by the trends and you pick whatever trend you want, the Bengals have gone win, loss, win, win, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, win. And here we are. So loss is up next for them. I'm just hoping it's by 3. And this line is going to get bigger. It's already, like I said, it's already up to 5.5 in a lot of places. It'll be 6.5, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I still like Cincinnati as the side I want to play in this game. Oh, that was it for that one. No Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It looks like he's going to be done for at least this week with the broken collarbone. And there seems to be a COVID outbreak on the Bengals practice squad, but it has not hit the main squad yet. And the Titans just put like 4 more guys on COVID list, by the way, Tim.
The Titans did?
Yeah.
Fuck!
Oh, yeah. Like the Dolphins, once again, dealt pocket kings against pocket queens.
Giants at Chicago. I wanted to make this one quick because it's minus 6.5, 35.5 is the over-under. 6.5 is a lot of points for the Bears, though. I just worry, like, if you want to see an Anderkerson real time, Geoff, you should have been sitting with it. You know what I'm going to say, don't you, Tim?
I do. Of course I know what you're going to say. I was there. I know what you're going to say.
So Tim was talking about, like, the Eagles aren't very good, da-da-da-da-da, and it was 3-3, and it's just like, look, they can only score 3 points on the Giants, and then, like, he looked back 20 minutes later, I think it was like 33-3 or something like that for the Eagles. Like, I just worry that the Giants can't score any points. Like, they might score 7 points tops.
They're the worst team in the NFL. They're worse than than the Jaguars. They're worse than the Lions. They're the worst team of football.
But the Bears aren't
we're going to lay the point to the Bears. The Bears are not good, but the Bears just went into a snowstorm as a 7-point underdog and won outright. And Seattle's a very flawed team, but Seattle is much better than.
Why would you say much better?
Because they have a quarterback who can actually play.
Yeah, haven't we discovered over like the past like month since he's returned from his like broken hand that maybe he can't play because he might have a broken hand?
The Giants don't have anybody who can play quarterback right now. Nobody can't play. Bears are the play here.
What do you think, Geoff? The coin is going with the Giants. Tim is going with the Bears. I was looking at the we finally have like the master list for the Custy Awards this year. And Jake Fromm is on that list, Geoff. Did you know that? As one of the most Andercursed people of the year.
Oh, that would, I guess, make perfect sense. But wouldn't that have gone back to last year? Or we're still, I'm confused on that one.
No, let's see. Maybe he has this wrong. Let's see. Jake Fromm. When Jake Fromm was drafted, Jake Fromm was called the best quarterback on the Bills roster. He was cut prior to this season. So he was cut this year. That's why it was...
That's a bit of a stretch. That's not going to get me.
What about Tim called Travis Fulgham a future star? He was cut in training camp.
I don't even remember saying that.
You said that he was me and you argued on this show about Travis Fulgham, and I said he was going to get cut after you called him a future star, and you said there is a 0% chance that would happen.
I do seem to now recall that, but I may not agree with... I don't believe it now, but I don't disagree with what I said then, if that makes any sense.
It doesn't, but okay. Geoff, where are you going in this game?
I can't touch the Giants. Like, they are a total no touch. Bears with a little momentum off that win. Giants just an absolute embarrassment. Give me the Bears. And I assume Matt Nagy gets fired after they win on Sunday. And then they can sort of get heads a week a little bit of a head start. I know the Bears are so thorough or historically don't fire the coaches till the season's over, but maybe with the addition of a new week, they'll relieve them after a win on Sunday. That's what I expect.
I mean, I don't know to mention this. Bruce Arians not probably going to coach this Sunday.
It was mentioned. You just don't listen.
And I've seen a tweet here that the NFL may take up the CDC's new rules as early as tomorrow. So be aware of that.
But that's only for asymptomatic players, isn't it?
I'm reading a report from Adam Schefter saying, including those who are unvaccinated.
So that means like Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis, and Mike Williams could all potentially play this week.
Or Carson Wentz.
Okay. I'm going to take the Giants in this game because football. Too many points. Too many points for the
That's
Bears.
sometimes the best way to break down a game.
They're not.
They're not main screen.
What's that?
That is our main screen on Sunday.
Chiefs,
Titans, Dolphins.
No, it's Chiefs and Bengals. It's Bengals, Chiefs.
I'm making it funny.
Maybe you should not make it funny.
I agree. Chiefs Bengals is the best game, but I know you guys have a lot of Dolphin fans and the dynamic in the crew. I thought maybe that could. Never mind.
That can get the second main screen. There's the big screen, then there's the slightly smaller screen, then there's like the six other ones.
The six that are all the exact same.
Yes. So I'm just going to take the Giants. It looks like Fields is going to be back. I have no idea how healthy he is or how unhealthy he is with his ankle. Should be okay. Like I said, it's just a lot of points. Then the Giants defense isn't horrendous. You just need Mike Glennon not to throw them out of the game because it looks like Mike Glennon is now starting again this week. Atlanta and Buffalo. The Bills are 14.5-point favorites at home. 44.5 is the over-under. Bills in a blowout? Sure. Bills like to blow out bad teams. They've done it to almost all of them. I think they've covered one of these big spreads in every game besides the Jacksonville game this year against these crappy teams. So why not keep it rolling against Atlanta, who sucks yet still somehow may make the playoffs? But that's where I'm.
They're
at.
A game out. They're
also horrendous. As we went through last week, the teams that Atlanta has beat this year, they have beat one team better than them in terms of the. I'm looking at the Pro Football Focus like overall team grades right now. They have one win that's better than they are, which is the Saints game. Everyone else they've beat have been like the cream of the crop of losers of the NFL, and the Bills are not that.
I think the spread should be 10 or 11.
Why? Why? Can you explain why you think it should be 10 or 11?
Because it seems like every time, as soon as Buffalo does something good, the whole world goes back to putting Buffalo as one of the best teams in football, despite them having a myriad of problems. And the Falcons are 7-8, and while they're not very good, they're not horrible either. They're catching way too many points here on the road. They should be 10 or 11, not 14.5. Give me the Falcons.
Geoff?
Dome team going to Western New York. Bills off their biggest win of the season. I think it's going to be one of those parties in the stands before the postseason. Bills in a romp, like one of those early games where they just played bad teams and just annihilated them. I'll lay this. I'll lay it. Give me the Bills.
It will be one of those weird things where you're going to look up at the score in the second quarter. It's like, oh, it's 13-10 for Buffalo. And then you're going to tune in 20 minutes later. It's like, oh, it's 40-10 for Buffalo. It's just one of those stupid games. How many points does Matt Ryan throw the Bills defense here, Tim?
I think he actually plays very well.
Why? What would lead you to that conclusion?
Honestly, because the Falcons screw everything for everybody. The whole world is going to have Buffalo in this game. And this seems like such a classic spot where Atlanta steps in and plays really good football and keeps it super close. I think it's going to happen. I don't trust this Buffalo team yet. They had a really nice win last week against the Patriots. I think this team is not trustworthy. I still think Buffalo is remarkably soft, and they're catching way too many points in this game, as if they were the Chiefs or as if they were the Packers. That's silly. What would the Chiefs be favored against the Falcons in Arrowhead? Would it be much more than 14.5? I don't think it would be. I think that's probably what the line would be, 14, 15. Buffalo's not on their level. I think Atlanta has to be the play.
I think the Bills are on the Chiefs level, though.
Are they?
Yeah, I think
so.
that they are. I think when we're talking about
I mean-
the best teams in the AFC, I think it's Kansas City and Buffalo. 1-2. Those are the teams.
Okay, I agree. I think
I don't agree. I don't agree.
there's still maybe a bit of a gap there. I like, but I mean, I like Bills at their ceiling. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, but it's
Like,
not,
the Bills at their-
but it's no different. I mean, the Chiefs lollygag just as much as the Bills do.
yeah, no, I picked the Bills, so I don't need to debate against myself about how good the Bills are.
Just any time that the Falcons play a good team, and like let's see, the Eagles 32-6 loss, Buccaneers 48-25. Then they play like the Giants, Washington, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Panthers. They beat the Saints. That's great. They lost by 40 to the Cowboys, 25 to the Patriots. They lost by 13 to the Bucks. They lost by 18. Yeah, 18 to the 49ers. Like anytime that they play a good team, they get routed. That's just how it goes. And the Bills are a good team, shockingly enough, Tim.
Yeah, still too many points, though. I can't advocate laying the points at Buffalo. I'm sorry.
All right. Rams at Baltimore. The last game of the early slate. Rams are favored by 3.5 points in Baltimore. 46 is the over-under. We don't know if Lamar or Huntley should be back for this game as a fail-safe, but Lamar, we don't really know. I'm guessing that with the season on the line, they're going to put him out there at maybe not 100%, which is not great news for him if he doesn't have his full mobility, because the Rams defensive line will get after you, and they still don't have a secondary. It's going to be tough for them to score points here, but I don't know why I kind of like Baltimore here. It seems like everyone is just, the Cardinals collapse. It's the Rams division to win. The Rams are just going to cruise through the NFC. Like, maybe pump the brakes on that a little bit. Stafford didn't look the best against that Minnesota defense last week, which isn't good. So a Baltimore defense, which isn't good, but is still pretty well coached. I think that they can cause some problems for the Rams. Like, just initially looking at it, knowing what we know about the injuries and the personnel, it's a lot like that Eagles-Washington game where it just doesn't seem like enough points for the Rams, and where you found the 3.5 stinky for the Washington football team, Tim. I find it kind of stinky here for the Ravens. I'm going to take Baltimore plus 3.5.
I'm going to take this was my preseason Super Bowl matchup. I am going to take the Rams because I think they're going to do to the Ravens what the Bengals did on the defensive side, namely playing 4 wide, because the Ravens don't have a secondary. They can't cover anybody. McVay is an offensive genius. He knows this. He has the weapons to do what the Bengals did. That's what he's going to do. He'll spread them out, and the Ravens will not be able to cover, and they won't be able to stop the run. I think the Ravens are in a world of trouble here, whether it's Huntley. I mean, the Ravens didn't lose last week because Josh Johnson played badly. Josh Johnson was fine. They lost that game because they could not cover in the secondary. That problem has not solved itself this week. The Ravens are in a ton of trouble here. I don't think they can keep up. I don't know how they give up fewer than 30 points. And if that's the case, I don't think they're going to cover. I think they're in a world of trouble here. This is a bad spot for Baltimore. Bad.
I can see that, but now Tim is trying to use the curse to propel his Super Bowl winner to the playoffs. So I want to be on the Baltimore side of the ball. 2, I do think that the Ravens can, like you said, I think they can post points. A lot of that lopsided score was that Cincinnati wanted to run up the score against the Ravens. That was very, very clear. And I wouldn't recommend betting this right now because everyone's going to bet the Rams this week. Much like that Eagles spread, this is going to grow as the week goes along. If you want the Ravens, wait on the better number. But I do like the Ravens even at 3.5, Geoff.
This game was moved, right? They moved the time of this game, which you could argue is a disadvantage to the Rams. I think they moved it from 4 to 1 o'clock this week.
Yes.
Which I don't like, and I don't think the Rams should like, but I guess there's TV windows or something that they want to get or protect. I don't know, what a weird game for the Rams. I lost my home league semi last week because of the Stafford performance, pretty much.
Cool story, bro.
I'm picking on the backup quarterback situation. The Cardinal losses have kind of put blood in the water for the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams.
Okay. I mean, in my case, really lacks any sense, but again, it's football. weird shit happens all the time. It's a lot like that Baltimore-Cleveland game from a few weeks ago where they had no business covering it, somehow covered the game. Even the Browns last week, like the Browns should have beat the Packers, yet at the same time they should have lost by 45, it seemed.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Weird stuff happens all the time. I think that not that I think that McVay's a bad coach. I don't. I just think that Harbaugh is a really good coach. And whether you agree or disagree with, like, I thought that his decision to go for 2 the second time 2 weeks ago to go get the win was stupid because they didn't go for it the first time. Like, if you're going to do it, just if you're at least have some consistency with what you're going to do. If you're going to be the team that follows the analytics, then follow the analytics. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. It seems really weird to me to pick and choose these certain spots where you're going to do it and not going to do it. But the one thing, and maybe last week is an aberration, you're playing with a third string quarterback. You've lost a bunch of players to COVID and to injury. Maybe they've passed the point of no return. But it does feel like no matter who you throw out there for the Ravens, like Harbaugh coaches them up. Like they are well prepared to play a game. Whether they have enough talent to keep up, I don't know. But I think
they're just too hurt. They're just too depleted, right?
Maybe, but if Lamar comes back and he's fine, like you always say, MVP Lamar, he's a game changer.
But that defense is not going to get better without significant help. And that defense is why they're losing games, why they lost to the Steelers, why they lost last week, why they lost to the Packers, why they're going to lose this week. They can't stop anybody.
Yeah, but if they're able to score, then they can still cover the spread.
They scored well. Yeah, okay. Maybe they could cover this spread. I'll grant you that. But I don't think they can win the game.
All right. Well, we're at the midway point of the show now, cruising through these early games because there's not a ton to say, but it does lead us to a Cust Corner mini.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner.
Okay, I have a couple of things. First, I was told today by a friend about the music functionality on my phone. He said, now that you've got new earphones, maybe you should look into not streaming your music through YouTube. Now, as everybody knows, Spotify's really hard to use. It's hard to figure out. It's not really for me.
It's not hard to figure out. Have you tried
Apple
Music? Hold on. Have you actually downloaded the Spotify app yet?
No, I don't know how to use it. I can't use it.
Okay, so when you say you can't use it or don't know how to use it, have you ever tried to use it?
Yeah, I think I have in the past and just found
you think that you have?
Yeah, I think I did a couple of years ago and was buffaloed by it and just gave up on it. So here's my thing. Like, apparently Apple Music is much easier to use. So I was told today, much easier to use than I thought. Like, I thought to have Apple Music, you had to like burn your songs off CDs onto it or jailbreak your phone in some way to get access to it. Apparently it's just there. You have to pay money, but like the music's just there that you can stream. So I'm wondering whether I should pursue this or whether I should try once again to fight with the Spotify.
I think that you should go with Spotify. I think it's easier to use. I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with Apple Music. I just find that Spotify is super easy. You get all your podcasts on there as well. You don't need 2 separate apps for that if that's the way that you want to roll with that. And you can have the free version or the premium version. Like the free version will just have ads, but you can pay like $9 a month or whatever it is. And on Spotify, you can download all the songs onto your phone. You don't need to stream them at any time. I find that the quality of everything is really good. Searching on it is super easy. You can make your own playlist super easy. But I'm just more familiar with Spotify. I don't really know which one is better, but I know that Spotify is easy to use, and you should probably be using it.
I find it perplexing. Now, on to my main subject, which is this.
I wanted to throw something out first. Jeffrey, for Christmas, guess what Tim received from either his mom or dad as a gift?
Guess.
What's something that he has hated for the longest time, but now all of a sudden really seems to like?
Car charger? Computer? Something technology?
You're warm. You're warm.
I kind of referenced it earlier in the little segment, Jeff.
A new phone?
Tell them, Tim. Tell the people.
I got wireless AirPods. And so they're really cool. And here's why. And it must be because I have the most modern and up-to-date version. When I take one out of my ear, it automatically stops playing the music. And then when you put them back in, it starts it again. And I was very, very like sick to my stomach, nervous about how I was going to like figure out how the synchronization of the. You just click on like one button and it just somehow works, and it charges. Now the cord that came with it, I got rid of because I don't have that new modern USB-C VW whatever cord, so that's not good to me. But it also clicks into my other cords, and like it's really neat to be able to like leave your phone in the kitchen and then like walk to the cellar to get something, and you don't have to bring your phone with you. That's actually a really cool function.
Great
And
function.
I understand that people who are tastemakers and who are cool will laugh at me because and it's true, they kind of do look dumb. I will concede that. They don't look as good as wired earphones, but
What?
I do think they're kind of cool. And I'm getting quite a bit of use out of them. So I didn't expect it, but it's actually been a really useful gift.
So
How come?
hold on. I was going to say, no, my apologies on that one. I stepped on you. But Geoff and I and everyone you know described wireless headphones in exactly the same way that you just described them after having them, yet you didn't believe any of the 20 people who told you this.
Well, but it's not quite like you didn't tell me about like turning like it automatically going on and off and you take it out of your ears, or like the cool looking charging case that it has. Like it fits right into the little charging case that you can bring. Now, you do have to bring that with you everywhere instead of your phone, I suppose. But nevertheless, it just has these, I think maybe because mine are like the newest type that like it has all these new functionalities that other ones don't.
It doesn't.
But my greatest fear is still like in a week I'll have lost one. I feel like that is still going to happen. But they're really cool. But my point was, or the other story I was going to tell was, I'm so annoyed at places who tell me they're going to be open on Christmas Day and then aren't. The McDonald's around here were supposed to be open on the 25th of December. This was a promise that was made to us.
By who?
And
By who?
I saw it like advertised or whatever that McDonald's would be open on December 25th.
No, what do you mean?
Where
It's not
did
an- they don't
where
advertise
did you see that advertised?
I don't know where I saw it. I
So
just
you did.
remember
So
seeing it.
you are
No.
making up that you
Yeah.
saw it.
No, I
Okay,
went
continue.
I actually went to McDonald's several times over Christmas weekend. I went Christmas Eve. I tried to go twice on
And they
Christmas
usually
Day.
put a sign on the door, like specific Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
Christmas Day, New Year's
yeah.
Eve, New Year's
Oh.
Day, hours of operation.
Oh, Geoff.
This time of year.
Jeff, he went to McDonald's on Christmas Eve, and he just assumed he knew what time that they were open till, and he showed up after they were closed and went full Karen on the people working
Oh
there.
no! That was a Tim Hortons. That was not a McDonald's.
Oh.
McDonald's
You're
was
literally
closed.
number one. You're like top 3 case for me being more insane with you. It was my discourse with a Harvey's employee a year ago.
The
And
Tim
here
Hortons
you are.
that I
Here
go
you
to-
are accosting.
The Tim- No.
Tim
I
Hortons
didn't
employees?
accost anybody. The Tim Hortons, this particular Tim Hortons, always closes at 4 p.m. every Christmas Eve. I know that for a fact because I've been going to this Tim Hortons my entire life. I know that it closes at 4 o'clock.
Turns out it
I
doesn't.
get to the drive-through at 3:15, and somebody answers the box and says, "I'm sorry, we're closed." I'm like, "No, you're not. It's not 4 o'clock yet. It's still light out. I need to have my coffee." And they're like, "No, we're closed." But like, you don't close till 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. You never close early. I said, "Do you have anything on? I'll pay you the money. I just need my coffee." And they said no. And I had to drive away and go to a McDonald's to get coffee, and then got a junior chicken. But like, I was very annoyed by that. And then Christmas Day, I go to pick up my grandmother in the car and figure, well, whatever, I haven't had any lunch yet, and supper's still going to be a little bit. So I'll roll to the drive-thru and get a little bit of McDonald's. Well, the McDonald's that I go to, a different one, that's closed. It should be open. McDonald's is supposed to be open on Christmas Day. I have to travel
What
like
time?
20 minutes out of my way and waste 20 minutes of my Christmas Day trying to find another McDonald's to go to before I could pick up my grandmother. It's incredibly frustrating stuff. Thankfully, on Boxing Day, everything was open normally. When it came to fast food, I didn't have these issues.
Most fast food, like this is standard fast food, Jewish fast food guy. Like if you think anybody knows the hours of Oppo for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, it's the fat Jew, Tim.
Yes.
Like that's just a fact. You cannot debate me. The
Tim
thing with the
Hortons is not
Christmas
closed at
Day,
3 p.m.
Christmas Day is some places don't open at all and other ones open later. Like every employee Christmas morning, early Christmas Day, you can do your Christmas thing and they open later in the day.
No, they need to be open for me. They need to be available for people who need to pick stuff up.
You just said me, by the way, not people. You said me. They
Well,
need to be
by
open
I
for
mean the
me.
customer. By me, I mean the customer.
Why couldn't you just, instead of Tim Hortons, aren't you a barista? Why'd you have to go to Tim Hortons?
I was out and about, and I needed to get my coffee before it was 3:15. There was no reason that they should have been closed.
Well, except for they closed at 3.
But they don't. They never do. I have been going to that Tim Hortons.
So do you think that you know their hours better than they know their hours?
I know
This
their
is like when
Christmas Eve
people.
hours better
This
than we
is
do.
the
Yes,
equivalent
I
of
do.
when people on the internet comment to me about my show. Well, did you know this about your show? No, I had no fucking idea. I don't do my own show the entire time. I have no idea what goes into it. Please tell me your deep insights that you know what is going on, but you know better than the people who own the place, that work there and set the hours, but you actually know the real time.
In this instance, absolutely I do. They
Oh my
answered
God.
the box.
Yeah.
They could have get,
Because they're probably still there. And the fact that you want that, here's how not a man of the people you are. You know that you want to try to pay them for coffee and everything like that. If anything, you said, do you have any extra coffee? I won't pay you for it because they've already done their tills at that point. So if you try to pay for something else, then you fuck up their entire account and then they have to be there for like another 2 hours and reset everything. So you weren't even looking out for them. You were looking out for you.
look, I wanted my coffee. It was still light out. 24th of December is a business day.
Dude.
Like,
There's no, also with the 24th and the 25th, there is no standard time amongst the chains. Like all of the individual franchisees operate independently on hours of operation for what they think works best for them and the neighborhood they're in and their staffing situation. Like they literally, all these stores, for like the chains, the biggest chains on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, they kind of make their own hours. They don't have to, like the one Domino's near me is closed on Christmas Eve. There's another Domino's near me that's open on Christmas Eve. Like it's a choose your own adventure between the individual franchisees with those holiday closing or
well,
opening.
I certainly learned a lot. So next Christmas, when it comes around, I'll be making telephone calls before I go out to find out who's open and who isn't. Because there's no way to know anymore. The apps lied, the Google lied to me. Because you open up Google and you look at hours of operations.
But what does it say? I did this too. Google specifically says it's a holiday, hours may vary. Like
may
Google's-
vary, not
Well,
will
they're
vary.
literally saying it's Christmas and I don't know what time this individual franchise is closing.
But I need to know these things because otherwise I've got to spend or waste 30 minutes extra of my Christmas day that I'll never get back having to drive to another McDonald's. Now, how is that fair to me?
Well, it sounds like you just would have wasted those minutes anyway, based on what you're complaining about.
Well, that's my business, isn't it?
Well, you wasted them. You didn't have to waste them. When you showed up to the place and it was closed, you could have just turned back
I
and
was
went home.
hungry and supper wouldn't be for a while. It's Christmas and they should be open. They're always open.
Maybe
It's not like I'm expecting somewhere to be open that's never open. They're always open on Christmas.
Well, when you
I-
say
I'd
when
be a
you
very
say when you
reasonable
when you
person.
say, when you say always open, it doesn't sound like that's the case.
You
McDonald's
also
never
don't
closes.
know the situation, like with the fancy variants going around.
Oh, now listen, if
staffing.
there was a staffing issue, I completely understand that. But that didn't seem to be the issue because it would be open later in the day.
Or
I don't understand.
they just said these are our 2 least profitable days of the year. Why don't we just close up shop?
Why didn't you ask them for a couple day-old donuts while you were there?
They could have made me a cup of coffee. I was there.
They weren't making you shit, buddy.
You're right, they didn't. I have spent, I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars at that particular.
Oh
Tim
no, I bet you they go out of business because although you say you won't go there, you'll go there every day anyway.
I mean, I won't go there then. I mean, I have options.
The most pathetic thing might be a regular Tim Hortons employee, a customer not getting what they want and then referencing how much money they've spent on Tim Hortons coffee.
Well, I have spent a lot of money at that particular place. My entire
So it's like
life.
78% of this insane country.
So I just they never close that early. All of a sudden, out of the blue, they do close when they're not really closed.
Out of the blue. Out of the blue.
Yes, out of the blue.
Christmas
I go
Eve
there
out of the blue.
every
Like
year.
it's March 7th.
Out of the blue. They never close at 3:00. They always close at 4. And it's just, you can understand why I would find that very distressing. You expect to have something and you can't have it. And like you appreciate how
Sounds like my press conferences, buddy. You expect and you can't. And you're like, what is going on?
it's very upsetting when you can't have something that you expect to have.
How I gotta say, how do you get through the day? Because all this just sounds so terrible that I don't know if I could go on if this happened to me.
All right. I know you're making light of it, but if you were in a similar situation,
Give me an
with a
example.
similar
Give
thing,
me an example and put me in it, and then describe it to me, and I'll let you know how I would feel.
I don't know. I'm sure there are things that you want to do every day or particular days, and you expect it to be open or available, and it isn't.
Oh,
and I'm sure it would cause you great angst.
you know what? For example, let's say going to the gym. I wanted to go to the gym on the 24th. So I called the gym that is next to me. They said that they were closing early that day. So you know what I did? I went before they closed.
But I wasn't hungry then.
Yeah, but I called in advance to see if they were going to be open because I know, every fucking place that's around, that they have different they have different holiday hours. And I even went to Google, Geoff, and it said holiday hours may vary. So I called them instead.
I didn't think I needed to because I've been going to that one for Christmas.
No, because you live main character syndrome. This is just another part of your privilege, pal. Check your privilege. You entitled fuck.
I think I'm entitled to this.
Why?
It's always been the same time, and then they change it.
You are so wrong about everything when trying to remember anything. That how can we even believe you that that's true?
Tim, in some way, I can respect you are comfortable with how they operate on Christmas Eve, but Christmas Eve is such a special, different night, closing that. Even every year you should you need to follow up on that because it can be such a big variable. It's Christmas Eve.
Additional Christmas Eve at 3:00 in the afternoon. It's still a middle of a business day.
No, it's not because it's just like the work that gets done between Christmas and New Year's Day. Most people just fuck off from work and no one really seems to care.
Well, I don't think it's a good customer.
Saying it's a business day would be like saying the afternoon before Christmas break at school is like a normal afternoon at school.
I don't think that's a fair analogy.
That is a perfect analogy when it comes down to it.
But
also here's why Tim is an unreliable storyteller in this sense, Geoff, because he'll say things. He said it on the show probably 2 weeks ago, last week, throughout the course of the year, that he'll reference something that happened that happened a few days ago, or he'll usually say, that just happened pretty recently, a few years ago, and then we'll date check him. It's that happened in 2006, Tim. So maybe these were the hours in 2004 when you used to go. You have no idea what it's been probably the past decade.
I feel very comfortable.
You feel, once again, your feelings, not facts, pal.
Well, not in this instance it wasn't. But look, I learned a valuable lesson. I take responsibility. I'll be making a telephone call next time. You can't trust the Google. You can't trust what you've known from the past. You have to pick up the phone and call. I've learned a lesson. I've grown from that.
Okay.
I
ask you a question?
No, hold on. I like that you saw hours may vary and took that to mean, they may vary. Of course they're going to be with the listeners.
Yeah,
fucking moron.
They may vary, but I don't want them to vary, so they're not going to vary.
Do you have brain injuries? What's wrong with you?
No, may vary. Well, why would they vary if they've never varied before? If they're closed, they'll say closed. But may vary, I don't take that as serious.
Oh my God.
May vary. You're right. It may happen.
That's literally Google saying we're not as confident in this information.
Yeah, no, that's Google saying we don't know the times. Here's what they normally are, but it's the holiday. We have no idea. No one updated it.
Google is smart enough to know it's Christmas Eve and they need to give you some kind of warning that please triple check.
Well, I'm annoyed by it.
I need to quickly go back to the AirPods. Your ability to turn on a dime on them. And you've done this with lots of other technologies. Technology you can turn on a dime for. Tua winning 9 straight games and going to the playoffs. Listen, I don't love Tua. I have a documented history here. Again, you've lapped me 7 times. I can't even compete with you. But how could you not? It's the NF freaking out that you could have this turn on AirPods, but a quarterback winning 9 straight games, taking his team into the playoffs in a conference that we all assumed was ultra competitive and ultra talented and ultra crowded, and that would be worth nothing, but you can flip on the AirPods?
Well, look, I'd never experienced the AirPods before, and part of my criticisms of them were I was afraid I'd never figure out how to get them to work. And
did it take you less than 5 seconds to sync them?
It was pretty easy, and I was very afraid that I would be made fun of and mocked because they look dumb. But I've just decided to overcome the fact that their functionality to me is more important than their style.
Who besides you said they look dumb?
There's a reason that all those magazines and all those
What
tastemakers
you mean? The magazine that you're pointing to is Teen Vogue, by the way.
There's other ones on top of that. It's true.
What are the other ones?
I've seen them. I can't quote.
Oh, really? You've seen them? Have you?
It's the case that the youth of today find wired earphones to be far more aesthetically preferable than those of us who are essentially boomers out there with our AirPods.
No, like New York, LA hipsters like the look.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the tastemakers. They just are, like it or not.
Oh, Tim. Geoff, before we move on to the late set of games, and I don't know if Tim is comfortable with this, but he shared with us, regaled us his story about Christmas dinner with his grandma. That, Tim, if you could tell Geoff, it would be lovely.
Oh, it was a dinner for the ages. I was next to my grandmother, and my brother was in town, and my brother first my grandmother started telling, it's as if I was interested in this. She was going like scene by scene explanations of old episodes of Christmas episodes of Gilligan's Island, and like as if I was interested in what like the professor did next. And then so she told me like went through like 2 episodes worth of Gilligan's Island Christmas episodes with me. And then like my brother was complaining that he thought maybe he had face blindness or facial blindness, that he couldn't recognize people's faces. And she said that wasn't the thing that he had, and he was making that up, and that he was soft. And I thought that was funny. And then he thought maybe he had a deviated septum. And my grandma said, "You don't have that either. You're just soft." She said, "If you had to get a cavity done for your teeth, you probably want a full anesthetic so you weren't awake. You're just soft." And my brother said, "I'm not soft." And I thought, oh my God, this is quite a day. And then she would tell me old stories about like the Dick Van Dyke Show. And like I drove her home and she was telling me stories about like what the Flying Nun was like. Like, I didn't watch the Flying Nun. Why would I be interested in that?
What about how you chastise people at Christmas for not dressing up for Christmas? What did you wear to Christmas dinner?
I chastised people for Thanksgiving dinner, not Christmas.
No, on a previous Cust Corner, on a very custy Christmas last year, you had the same rant about Christmas.
I dressed up in a nice Christmas sweater and a pair of nice blue jeans.
Oh, blue jeans! I didn't realize you were at happy hour, pal, with your friends from the auto parts store.
Oh, please, they're nice, clean ones. And as we were divvying up the food, I spilled some cranberry on my jean, on my thigh, and my jeans. Immediately, my grandmother said, "You have to go change. I'm not sitting next to somebody who's got food spilled all over." So I said, "Okay, that's fair enough." I agreed with her about that, and so I got up and I changed into just something quick because supper was getting cold. So something quick. I just threw a pair of shorts on.
You're wearing shorts at Christmas dinner.
I did, but look, I wanted to make sure that my grandmother was happy and that Christmas went well. And so that's what I did. But yeah, she just regaled me with old stories of old television shows that I've never seen, and made fun of my brother for being soft. It was pretty funny.
See, I thought you said you were gonna let you put on a show for her with all her favorite actors like Wilford Brimley and Lucille Ball and.
Well, Geoff, it's hard for me to do that at Christmas time since I'm no longer with us.
And I got caught watching that Lucille Prime Video, that movie with
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman and shit, he's so good. Javier
Bardem.
Yeah, right. That's who it was. And the whole time I can't think of Tim's impression. Like, it ruined the movie for me.
Now, was Nicole Kidman's impression as good as Tim's?
Well, but my impression is not young Lucille Ball. It's older Lucille Ball.
Yeah, yeah, whatever.
I also do a mean Kelsey Grammer, too, as we found it on the weekend.
Oh, yes. Geoff, you should hear this Kelsey Grammer impression. It's pretty good.
Oh, Jeffrey, it's a very good impression of Kelsey Grammer.
It just sounds like you. It sounds like you. You're doing your voice.
No, Patrick, that's not quite right.
Now you're doing a British accent.
No, but see, it's not British and it's not American. It's an admixture of the two of them.
That sounded completely different than the first 2 attempts you just did.
No, the last one just sounded literally like Tim.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. Stop saying that. It's a good impression. I get compliments.
From who?
I did some impressions for my grandmother on the drive home and she liked them. She thought they were good. I did my W.C. Fields, which you thought was really funny. Yeah, and then I did Kelsey Grammer. That was my Christmas.
I'm glad
It was a good
she's. I worry that her blindly being nice to you your entire life has left you like this.
What do you mean?
Geoff knows what I mean. The viewers know what I mean.
Yeah.
Geoff is having
I
a
get
heart
it.
attack over there.
Well, like she's the reason that like his favorite ice cream is great nut raisin.
Or
Well, I
or he
prefer
can
Tiger
he can do these impressions and think that they're good.
Well, Patrick, they are pretty good.
Who was that supposed to be?
There's Kelsey Grammer.
It doesn't sound like fucking Kelsey Grammer.
It does.
No, it doesn't. Do you know? Do you have like auditory problems? Do you not hear? Like if your brother has facial blindness.
You know what? I figured this out. I think you're just really, really, really envious of how good I am at these impressions.
You got me.
You can't have me
I'm
doing this.
so envious of your
So you
amazing
created-
impressions.
So you've created this whole universe where you have to pretend like all my impressions are bad, just so that I can't get the credit that I'm due.
That's not me creating a universe. That is the universe we live in.
I don't agree. People say nice things.
All right. Okay. So people should rank Tim's impressions down in the comment section. Can we hear Christopher Walken?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do one for you. I wasn't in a lot of Christmas movies, as you know. At least I don't think so. But I could have been in some. That's a dead ringer.
Now do a conversation of Christopher Walken talking to Kelsey Grammer.
What do you think, Kelsey, about my impressions? Well, you know, I think you're very good at these sorts of
Who
things.
is he fucking?
Thank you.
Is he the Queen's husband?
Thank you. So, well, no, but you have to understand, Kelsey Grammer has that.
Yeah,
mid-Atlantic
yes.
accent.
Kelsey Grammer has a mid-Atlantic accent. You keep saying that, but you're not doing that. You're doing either you with no accent or what you think is a British accent.
Well, but the mid-Atlantic, like the William F. Buckley accent, is sort of.
Yeah, but you aren't doing that. How do you not hear that?
In my ears, it hears great to me.
Well, that's the thing. If your brother has facial blindness, maybe you have auditory
I don't-
blindness.
I don't think
Maybe
he's
you're
right.
like secret deaf. You can only
That's
hear
what he's
things on
saying.
one
He-
pitch.
I don't think my brother does have facial blindness. I don't know why he said that.
Maybe
But
he
my
does.
grandmother was certainly not putting up with his nonsense. She called him out of that right away.
Honestly, these stories, they are charming, and I don't have any of my grandmothers or grandparents, and a lot of it would have been very similar, minus me giving her an imitation routine. But yeah, so I don't know. I get these warm, fuzzy feeling when you talk about your grandma.
Thank you, Geoff.
I should tell you guys, since we've been recording, it seems like the league has changed the COVID rules.
I
from,
just said that earlier. They're going to the CDC rules, which is 5 days, and you don't need to test negative to be done.
Yeah, so Wentz could potentially play now.
It's
And
5
now
days-
I guess Mike Williams. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to make
yeah,
it about
it's
me.
5 days. If you're not symptomatic, you're done. You don't have to test out. That's the new Center of Disease Control rule as of yesterday in the United States. I saw the Ontario government sort of referenced it themselves today, so it could very well come to pass.
Do you
Other-
not think in the playoffs, like they'll throw away tests? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way they would allow what happened on Monday night.
Well, last year we had a playoffs where there were no vaccinations and no major quarterbacks or players missed time in the playoffs.
I think
Funny
what
how-
I think what you'll see is they'll test everyone on Monday to find out if they're positive, or when they do their test, they'll only do it on Monday. So if people test positive, they could
can test
theoretically
it.
play for the weekend.
Yeah, unless they're symptomatic, they would be able to play.
Yeah, so I think that's what they'll do.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so Wentz, Darius Leonard, and Mike Williams are all potentially eligible to play. This is just
Assuming it applies in week 16 or week 17, it doesn't start in week 18, like the rules that they implemented last time didn't come into effect until the end of the week.
I don't know, all the blue check marks on Twitter are talking about how it applies to this week.
Okay, well,
Yeah, Diana Rossini literally tweeted 2 minutes ago, the new protocols will be retroactive, meaning asymptomatic players who are current COVID-19 exempts are eligible to return vaccinated or not 5
as soon
days.
as I saw the CDC make those recommendations yesterday, I figured that sports leagues would be all over that.
As they probably should be to keep their games going on time.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get to the next set of games. Houston, coming off their big dub, is now in San Francisco. They're 13-point underdogs to the Niners. Trey Lance is starting for the San Francisco 49ers. 44.5 is the over-under. Geoff, I was on a group chat with everyone, and we hammered the 49ers in that Thursday night game. We were pretty confident after the first drive, thinking like, oh, Tennessee can't move the ball. San Francisco can move the ball at will. Then you got the pick. Then Jimmy misses open use check down the sidelines, and all of a sudden it's 10-0, and things are not looking as good anymore. But we just started calling for, we need to have Trey Lance in this game right now because we're not winning with Jimmy. I actually feel better about our 49ers Super Bowl bet now than I did with Jimmy G.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like the concept of winning with a guy making his second through like seventh start over the next month seems pretty unfathomable.
Yeah, you can't win that bet now. That bet's now dead.
Oh,
Like, not to say Jimmy was good, but Jimmy seemed like there's nut low Jimmy, but if you could have avoided that, maybe we had a chance. So I kind of have to disagree with you.
No, see, I think it's different right now because when Jimmy went to the Super Bowl with the Niners, like they had the best defense in football. They don't have that this time around. So they do need some playmaking options from their quarterback. And I do think that they can still play pretty good defense. And what Trey Lance allows them the ability to do, especially now that Debo's playing running back for them, is that he's going to be running the ball like 10 to 15 times a game, that they're going to shorten a lot of these games. They're going to be running the ball a ton, and they're just going to be looking for a big play down the field. So I think that the taking the ball out of the hands of the opponent is only going to help their defense by continuing to run the clock. Like, they were already a pretty good running team, but this extra dimension, it's only if it works. Like, this could go horribly wrong and Trey Lance sucks and they don't even make the playoffs. That's definitely one of the other sides of the coin on this one. But I do think upside-wise, it's a lot like we talked about when Alex Smith was their quarterback, and just like you'd see Kaepernick come in, like they have a chance of winning the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. Will they? And the answer turned out to be no. They got to one. But it just felt like his upside was so much higher, at least at this point. Like, we know what Jimmy's upside is. He's a league average quarterback. He's good. He's not great. He's not bad. Like, he's right in the middle. There are teams that would most greatly benefit from having Jimmy G as their quarterback. He's like the shittier version of Kirk Cousins in that way. But at least with the untapped potential of Lance, if he can harness some of that and go on a mini run, because there's not going to be a ton of game film on him going into the playoffs if they can get there. And it's a completely different dimension for this team and how they're going to play games. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but it feels like with the construct that they have and the team that's in place and Shanahan calling these plays, I really feel like they can make this work.
Okay, just a hypothetical, because I'm not staring at it. Like, random, if the season ended today and they had to play Tampa first week, you'd feel good about that?
Listen, I am not going to feel good about them in any playoff game, but I do think they're the type of team that can win any. I think they could beat any of these teams in the NFC. They can most definitely lose to all these teams. They could lose to they could lose to Atlanta. Like a team like that. Like, they're kind of all over the map when it comes down to it, but I feel like their chances are weirdly like 50-50 against anyone.
Okay. Oh, I'd be thrilled if you're right. I don't know. Part of me is like, I can't get Houston right. Let me go on Houston, but San Francisco, extra rest. Houston with their biggest win of the year, and a win that, feel good about themselves, and a win that, hey, sorry to say, Tim, but I don't know where Davis Mills ranks. Does he rank in front or behind Zach on the building block?
I don't know. But funny, the Jets have beaten both the Texans and the Jaguars, both of these teams with good rookie quarterbacks, apparently. I feel fine. Davis Mills actually okay.
Davis Mills didn't play against the Jets, by the way.
No, I know, but his team did, and the Jets won anyway. Look, I do not agree with you on the Trey Lance take at all. I think the fact that he really hasn't played anything means you cannot win your bet. It is now dead.
That alone gives me hope.
No, I mean, I liked this Niners team. I didn't like them last week very much, but I liked this Niners team even in the middle of the year when they weren't performing. But they just cannot win now with a quarterback who just doesn't have any time under center. And that's too many points to lay in this game. I think this is just too many. San Francisco does not deserve to be laying 13 points here at home. They have no home field advantage. Yeah, they have the extra rest. Texans are fine. Anyway, we're going to take the Texans here.
I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to Tim.
It has to be the right side. The Niners cannot be the right side.
I don't love the game. It just seems like a lot of points.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cam makes this his gold pick on the week on Friday.
Now, Cam won't like the Texans coming off like basically their Super Bowl win last year.
Yeah, no, Cam is a complete like market inefficiency gold picker.
Yeah, no,
Hello?
you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought you were going to expand upon that.
Oh no,
but
yeah,
I
he's
guess-
like Washington is more likely a Cam gold pick.
Well, I like that too. Washington is also a side I love a lot this week. Oh, by the way, the Lions. Oh no, we're not talking about the Lions. We're talking about the
Texans.
The Texans. Yeah, the Texans are the second team on the tees. Get them up to 20.
Houston plus 20.
Too many points for a Niners team that hasn't earned anyone's respect.
Oh my god. Sorry, I'm just thinking about Houston and my insides are crawling. Like I can't explain the feeling. I wish I didn't have it. And I've been working on myself this year. I really have. Well, I'll get into it more on video next week because it's probably more worthy of video, but yeah. For that story. So we'll call that a tease.
Okay.
But I've been working on myself and we went
That's
back.
good SEO. That's good SEO, Geoff.
I mean, it's not SEO. Did you see Kenny's tease for the Fantasy Golf Degenerates Golf Show? this week?
Unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable. What, King Kenny? Yeah, I saw the tease.
Did you watch the story yet?
No, I haven't. I actually got it bookmarked on my YouTubes for a little stroll outside. I love the little, yeah. No, I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah. So
I haven't heard the story.
Well, we just finished. We did 2 parts of a golf draft with Geoff, myself, and 9 others from the fantasy golf community. That was fun. Kenny teased the story on that show. So, Fantasy Golf Degenerates with Tambo and Kenny is up on Mayo Media Network right now, and the audio podcast feed. I highly recommend you go listen to Kenny's story. I do not recommend you listen to it if children are around or Tim is around because Tim has very soft ears. He can't listen to that. Too crude.
Oh, if it's crude, I probably would rather not listen.
See, you know how
Download.
you just said rather? That sounded more like Kelsey Grammer than anything else you've done today.
Tim, do you fast forward through like nudity on like an HBO show? Like it's uncomfortable.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I fast forwards. No, I'm not a complete prude. But
You like cover your eyes and like peek till it's over?
no, just like I just don't enjoy that type of.
You get squirmy in your chair?
A little bit. I would rather have more good, clean, old-fashioned, wholesome entertainment.
He just wants some
Sorry.
fucking softcore porn, is what he wants. He wants.
I mean,
some,
listen, different strokes for different folks. It's fine. You know, everyone has their preferences. I just would like.
Do you mean that you have? Do you mean you have different strokes between softcore and hardcore? Like you're just trying to like stretch it out a little bit?
See, I knew just by saying that was going to open the door to some vulgar comment, and you didn't disappoint. I suppose.
Nothing vulgar about that. It's just something that people do.
All right.
Tim.
Let's not talk about that.
I'm sorry. Like, were you a big Bleu Nuit fan? I guess is my question.
Not really. It's all right.
Oh, not really. It's all right. What do you think? What do you think? Just all right, Geoff?
Yeah, I don't know. I was one of those late night. I think they're called Baby Blue movies. In my neck of the woods.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about that stuff. Let's move on.
Can you definitively rank the best episodes of both Bleu Nuit and Red Shoe Diaries, please?
I assume this is for Geoff. I can.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I
can't
was doing that for Tim. I thought that you just heard the name Red Shoe Diaries. You went to the bathroom for a beat or something like that. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Denver at the Chargers. Chargers favored by 5. At home, 45 is the over-under.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Geoff?
Well, is this Tim Superlock?
Sounds like
It may be. It's so much I'm teasing through 0 to take them to minus.
Oh no.
I
never
don't.
do that.
Again, I don't know what to believe anymore. A week ago, I believed in everything, and now everything I believed in, I feel like is lying to me, and I don't trust anybody, and I don't trust anything. And I think the COVID situation for the Chargers is going to get worse before it gets better. I'm seeing the kicker. They finally got a guy that can make kicks. He's on COVID, and there are more additions for the Chargers today. All I can say, I guess, about the Chargers is after a couple nut low moments this year, they have responded really well. Like The previous nut low moment for me in the season was the Bronco game, ironically, and they lost it, and they played one of their better games the very, very next week against a very good Bengal team. So just give me the Chargers, but I'm a defeated human in this regard. I am a defeated human. There's no real other way to say it. I've talked about the lack of depth on defense. It's crazy how good Joey Bosa's not in the game. Sorry. I don't know how to do this. This is more Fienberg. Yeah, those things are for Fienberg. Joey Bosa is so good. Like, pretty much tight ends don't exist versus the Chargers when Bosa's playing because they got to chip him. And then when they're not there, no one's afraid of anyone else. So you get tight ends running free in the flat. It's a whole disaster. Our first round pick D tackle Tillery freaking sucks. Kenneth Murray, what an abomination of a football player, people. What an abomination. For everything they did in potentially hitting on the Herbert pick, they traded into that Murray pick, and he has been nut low.
How about a head coach who can't figure out the run defense? How about him?
No, that's bad. Listen, okay, so we can have that. We can do this, and I'll do it quickly. That is incredibly frustrating, and I love the accountability. Even getting to see or listen to the Monday in that voice app thing.
Hold on. Did you really need to take out your frustration on Joe Reedy on Twitter?
Joe's taking it out on me.
I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
Tim, if this is all you got for me being more insane than
I've got a whole campaign. You've got to work. Yeah. What's insane
is you've actually got a campaign ready. Like
I hope I can even run a
campaigning is the insane one.
I almost hope I can run a campaign video on this show.
Sure.
Equal time.
But I want to tell the people that I really think you're trying too hard. Like, I do so many things that are insane. But I don't think, with how much I care about the Chargers, wanting to hear every word out of the coach's mouth after maybe the most horrific loss in 8 years is an insane thing of me to want. So I feel like people really reach when they use my desire to hear Coach Staley speak as the reason I'm more insane than you, when there's probably like 15 more legitimate reasons. But the defense, it's been a struggle. And Staley, in his candor, admitted it. And I'll be honest, guys, I had an idea. I think when the Broncos fire Vic Fangio, Staley needs to bring him in. Fangio gave him his first job in Chicago. Fangio brought him over to Denver. I think it would be a nice pay it forward. And I have enough confidence in Fangio as a football man. Maybe Staley can or doesn't have to still call the plays, but it's pathetic. I'm already thinking about next year. And that's what last week did to me. I'll lay the points, but you guys know how I feel about the Broncos, and nobody gives me a witching hour more than them. So it makes perfect sense that them and Drew Lock, of all people, are going to end a season that was supposed to be, I'm not going to say special, but it was supposed to be a real stepping stone. And the rock has been pulled out from under us, and we're fucked.
All is not lost yet. All is not lost yet. Maybe like Bane says in The Dark Knight Rises, now's not the time for fear, Jeffrey. That comes later.
But every level of our defense we've had injuries at every level of our defense. No one's gotten to play together. They should be used
to be playing without Bosa. That's status.
No, Bosa's been way healthier this year than I think you're giving him.
That's a real low bar to carry. Look, Denver is allergic to running the ball, which is what they do best. Their quarterback situation is abysmal. They lost, and their season essentially ended last week in a game where if the Raiders didn't turn the ball over ridiculously at the end of the first half, they don't score a single touchdown in that game. They're done. Like, they are done. The Chargers is something to fight for. Maybe tragedy will strike them next week, but not this week. I love the Chargers in this spot. It seems like a perfect setup for the Chargers. I think you're right. I think Staley is a motivator. Should have this team ready, up and running, ready to go. The guys in Denver are already thinking about the exits because they know the end is near. I like the Chargers quite a bit here. Like I said, we're teasing the Chargers up to +2. I do not like Denver here whatsoever.
So you're expecting Denver to just end this thing like a fart in the wind?
I think they're done. I think I think that the old kit bag is packed up now and they're done.
They played the Chiefs week 18 also, so maybe I don't know. It was a really weird, like I'm hoping they're just demoralized, because sometimes you get the situation Denver's in. It's like, we have nothing to play for, and there's a huge hammer fist thrown. And sometimes it's just a completely wasted start the engines sort of effort. So I hope you're right that it is the fart in the wind effort from the Broncos.
I, too, will take the Chargers here, but this is working under the premise that Drew Lock is starting at quarterback and not Teddy Bridgewater. If it's Teddy, I can see this game being like I mean, Drew Lock is one of the worst quarterbacks to start a game this year. Teddy's not bad.
I agree.
And this is a perfect Teddy cover spot. +5 on the road against the Chargers. Those are the games that Teddy tends to cover. So if he's healthy enough to go, I don't know if I'm going to see real money on this, but this is still -5 and Locke is playing quarterback. Come Sunday, I will be betting the Chargers. I like you say that Fangio is a football man. Do you think he just kind of walks around team to team, Tim? Like Daniel Plainview, second reference of the episode. Like, I'm a football man. My work. For the Chicago Bears, fully points this out.
And here's my associate, HW.
No, but listen, I'm very in the know on the Broncos for whatever reason. My feed has got
How
a lot
much
of
time do you spend on Broncos Reddit?
None. But I follow Benjamin Albright on Twitter, and he's just nonstop, and he is in my opinion, the preeminent voice of the Broncos.
Are you jealous? Are you jealous that he gets to cover the Broncos and not the Chargers?
No, the Chargers have Daniel Jeremiah. The Chargers have some incredible people who cover them.
Then why can't they give you a link to the press conference?
The beat writers, it's not their job. But if you want to know, I would offer any Charger beat writer whatever money the Athletic pays Popper for a day, or the LA Times pays Jeff Miller for a day. If you could just film the thing for me and send it to me, I would pay you. I would pay you. I'd pay you.
More than they already get paid per day?
Vote for Geoff.
Pat, we know what the industry pays, so it probably wouldn't be hard.
That's true.
I don't even mean that as a demeaning, I just have enough experience and familiarity with that sort of thing that, I could probably meet that rate, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, in these jobs in sports media, whether it be the people that you watch on YouTube that are sponsored by these type, Pat Mayo, sponsored by DraftKings, that kind of thing, or people that write for different websites, or beat reporters, national reporters at The Athletic or the Action Network. There's only 2 types of salaries you can make: way too much or way too little. There's really no in between.
Exactly. And let's be honest, the guys that are covering the Chargers, what part of that scale are they on? Despite me acknowledging, I think the group of Charger beat reporters are as good as I've had in my lifetime. So I don't want to besmirch them in that regard. And so I just said, I know you're so focused on who the next Bronco coach would be, but I'm just curious, do you think Fangio will still want to coach if he's fired? And Albright told me that Fangio goes to high school games on Friday nights. He is a football lifer.
So
I didn't get the joke you were making, but he absolutely will be looking to continue.
Yeah, that sounds kind of creepy, these high school football games. It's people who really get into the hockey world juniors. It's it's kids hockey, man. Calm down. I find it weird.
Yes, but wouldn't you say an actual football coach? It's weird if it's someone it's actual.
If you were to go to a high school game just because the coach used to quarterback a football team that lives 1,000 miles away from you, that'd be weird.
Oh, I can't. Oh my God. Yeah, no, listen, thanks for bringing up Philip. I'd love to go watch him coach in Alabama, hit up a Waffle House, go to a high school football game. I bet you I could get right to the field, pretend I'm one of the kids' parents, and then go say hi to coach.
I think there's a big.
But I don't even need that.
Do you think
I don't even need that? I'm going to meet.
Do you think there's a big? Hold on. Do you think there's a big Jewish community where Philip coaches?
No, I'll be, as I said on the golf show, when we go to our trip to visit Wiley in Kentucky, I lose the Berg. I'm just Jeff Fine. Yeah, that's that.
That's funny. That's a good joke. Let's move on from this game. We're all taking the Chargers. We got Carolina and New Orleans. Ugh. New Orleans is favored by 6.5. 39 is the over-under. Carolina, is that the play? Does anyone ever want to bet this game?
My God, no. How could you? I mean, I don't know what to do with it because, like, what we saw from the Saints' offensive line yesterday made them completely. I mean, they scored 9 points against the Buccaneers. They couldn't move the ball at all, and they couldn't move the ball at all yesterday. Oh my goodness! Who can say?
I'll take New Orleans.
I'll take 6. I'll take New Orleans. I'll lay the 6.5 points, and I'll hate myself, and I won't touch the game. I won't think about it. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, well, the only reason I say that, Jeff, is because Carolina can't stop the run. New Orleans can run. They should have those offensive linemen back. But if you're looking for the best unit in this game, it's New Orleans defense.
Yeah, I'm not. Honestly, if there's a team, like, it feels like you'd rather give Houston your money than Carolina at this moment.
Agreed.
Totally.
And that's messed up. That is so messed up. Yeah, and that'll be really one of the most interesting places to watch in the offseason. You know, the owner is gung-ho, and they'll probably be very interested in the veteran quarterbacks. Will they make the coaching change? So that is like a keen situation to keep an eye on. Irrelevant for this conversation. I'm gonna take the Saints in a Monday bounce back, but I say that I'm confident.
Detroit and Seattle. Seattle is a 7-point favorite at home against the Lions. 42.5 is the over-under. Now, just as a note, although it's rare that you get a snowstorm in Seattle like we saw last week, just a reminder to everyone out there is that football players can still play football in the snow. That doesn't mean you should just automatically bet unders on any game that you see snow in. In fact, Tim, if there's no wind in those games, there tends to be more points scored.
It's true. Of course, I remember a snowstorm in Seattle. It basically cost the New York Jets a Super Bowl. Brett Favre got hurt in that game, and it ended our whole year. So, yeah, I have seen snow games in Seattle. I mean, the Seahawks laid 7 into the Bears, and now they're laying 7 into the Lions. Something's up here. It quite makes sense that the Bears.
I think that you might be highly overrating Seattle. I think that the books.
Yeah, I mean, I took the Bears last week because I was not going to lay 7 points with the Seahawks, and I'm taking the Lions this week because I'm not laying 7 points with the Seahawks, even though it's probably Russell Wilson's last game in Seattle, et cetera, et cetera. I don't care about that. I mean, we'll see when we get to the Monday night game. I don't care about that. And I'm going to tease the Lions up. They're the fourth part of the tease.
I'm taking Detroit too for the same reasons, Jeff.
A week ago, I was on Chicago last week, and in that case, I'm for sure going to bet Seattle this week. I don't care what the game results are, but no, I can't. It's time to make a decision, and I have to take back a touchdown. I do love the concept of Wilson's last game there, but the vibe there seems so shit that I don't even care I don't think that means anything. Sad, but I don't think it means anything.
So you're taking.
Let's hope not. Keep getting that draft pick higher, boys.
So you're taking Detroit?
Yeah, I'm taking the 7. Yeah.
All right. Arizona at Dallas. Dallas is favored by 5 points in this game. Rashad Breeland was cut by the Minnesota Vikings due to disputes. He's been signed by the Arizona Cardinals. The problem for the Cardinals, they have the worst run defense in football. Worse than the Chargers even, which is kind of crazy to think about. Basically, since J.J. Watt went down for them, their defense has been absolute dog shit, which is not good against this Dallas team, which looks like they're getting healthy at exactly the right time, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Like, their pass rush is fierce at this point, like almost like Arizona's was in week 6. That's what Dallas's looks like right now. And the offense is getting healthier. The offensive line is getting healthier. Dak is all of a sudden, I mean, he looked good on Sunday night. Who probably wouldn't have looked good in that game? I don't know. Here's the issue, and I kind of sniffed this out last week, but I'm stupid and galaxy brained myself, is that clearly the Colts were the right side of that game when we looked at the spread. Tim was the only one smart enough to take the Colts because we were like, oh no, this is where Arizona bounces back and like really gets you. It's like, no, the Colts were the better team and the Colts won. It wasn't particularly close. I feel that way about this game, but I can't help myself. I want to bet Arizona again. I don't know why. Can you please talk me out of it?
So the only reason I think Arizona here is a play
against expectations. It's the expectations against Dallas after watching what they did in a primetime game.
So you can make that case. Mine would be that what is your opinion about the Arizona Cardinals. Are they last year's Steelers? Are they done? Are they completely out of gas? And are they just going to, like a old broken down car, sort of just ramble to the finish line with no juice left? Or do you believe that they can still throw a punch, that they can hang in a game, like in a potential, in a very actual potential playoff game in the first round? Does Arizona have enough juice to compete and make a game of it? Can Murray play to the level of Prescott and do what he has to do to keep a game close? Or is Arizona just a dead duck?
I think
if you believe Arizona's got something, you should take the 5 points because that's worthwhile here. If you do not, you ought to lay them with Dallas because then they'll eat them alive.
I think I think that Murray can outplay Dak. I just worry about every other position on the field.
If he does that, they should cover the 5. They may lose, but they should cover the 5 in that instance. I'm of the view Arizona is last year's Steelers, that they are huffing and puffing and they are done, and they're done in terms of like winning competitive games against really good teams. So I'm going to take Dallas.
I just worry. It's not that I think that the Cardinals are done. Because I mean, I think they have far more in common with last year's Cardinals team than last year's Pittsburgh team. That injuries just really ate them up at the wrong time. And like Kyler has not looked the same since he's come back. He just hasn't. He doesn't run anymore, which is a huge part. The one time that he actually got loose, Arizona looked great, moving the ball down the field against the Colts, and like he's not running again. So that's obviously a problem. Geoff, my biggest thing is that Dallas in Week 17 might be the best version of Dallas we've seen all year.
I don't know, outside of like 8 minutes against Washington, they have been a special team against them. Washington was ravaged with injuries. I agree. This could be a game that's just over quickly, but I gotta take this 5.5 off the 50 burger on Sunday Night Football versus a team that was ravaged injury and COVID wise. And I haven't brought this up at all today. The advanced on this one, Pat, was 2.5. And it's 5.5 now, so you could blindly. That's a big move. But when you really break down the Cardinals, to Tim's point, they're 3-5 in their past 8, and 2 of those wins were with Colt McCoy against like Seattle and someone else. So like what?
Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know what.
No, they
do.
lost
like,
to Carolina. They got blown out by
Seattle and the 49ers.
Yeah, it was the
Seattle,
Niners.
the 49ers, and Chicago. Those are the teams they've beaten.
No, it's a Krusty the Clown situation. You're done. That's all. They're done.
Yeah,
this was a team that was demolished by the Lions and then couldn't even win that Darius Leonard rebound game at home. Like, that is so bad. That's like, not to compare because the Cardinals are in a much better shape, but the Chargers lose to Houston. And then if they go and just look pathetic against Denver, like, I've been broken. I am broken.
Talk about a team playing their football best football way too early. Such was the case for Arizona, and they are. It's not their fault.
Yeah, you do feel that way.
But they're extraordinarily injured, and they can't recover from that. And I don't think, like Pat said, is Dallas playing their best football right now? Pretty much. I mean, they played awesome to start the year, then they went into a lull, and then they went awesome again.
So like Dallas and Buffalo, right? They're those 2 teams that we believe have talent that you could argue have not played their best football in the season.
Well, I feel like Tennessee is that other team too because of injury. But
yes. We might not see the Tennessee team that you're referring to as the problem. Even if Henry comes back, he might not be 100%. They would need him to be 100%, and that would be a difficult spot. Here's the issue with the Cowboys right now. Like, if you look at their past 6 games, because they've been really good. Like, when you just think about the Cowboys and how, like, their offense, it's rolling, their defense looks amazing. Like, it's really out of this world good. The problem is just look who they've played. They played the Saints, Washington, Giants, Washington the past 4 weeks. Everyone's going to look good against those teams, right? Like, if you have this hate on for Miami and how shitty they are because they only beat bad teams, I mean, that's really what the Cowboys are doing right now. They lost to the Raiders on Thanksgiving. They lost the week before that to the Chiefs. They blew out the Falcons. They lost to the Broncos. Like,
okay, so
I just don't know where they're at, like actually at. Like, are they just rolling everyone because they're actually this good, or are they just taking on, like, again, the cream of the crop losers of the NFL?
Miami isn't beating teams the way Dallas is beating teams, but I mean your point stands.
I mean, even in the Saints game, they beat the Saints 27-17. That was the game where Taysom threw 4 picks.
Oh, I'm with you. I stand by the fact I don't think there's a single elite team in the NFL. I think all the teams in the NFL have a ton of flaws, and anybody could beat anybody.
The last time Dallas per Walter Football, played a top 20 DVOA team was the Chiefs, and they lost 19-9. So yeah, they've played nobody. I'm going to take the 5.5.
It's 5.
5. But this is one that your first look can see it's, they brought their Lions the same effort as they brought versus the Lions, and they're going to lose by 35 if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tim and take Dallas. I do think that they're peaking right now, and they're as healthy as they're going to be at the moment. And San Francisco Arizona needs a life raft. This is a lot.
And huge.
Well, they're in the playoffs, so
Yes,
we're going to be seeing them. So maybe they need to take these weeks and just try to get healthy. Because, I mean, I've seen an Arizona team do this before and end up in the Super Bowl. So...
Yeah, true.
I mean, this is exactly what that team did. Like they had
this Arizona team could get Dallas in the first round of the playoffs. So if you really think that, maybe you show them nothing this week.
But I mean that
they got to get off the mat. They got to get off the mat.
I don't think so. I mean, this is how that Warner team ended their regular season. I think they ended up winning that division at like 8-8.
Yeah, they beat the Packers. That was the day that the Chargers beat the Colts in overtime with the Sproles run. I went to the International Bowl earlier in that day, hosted by Cam Stewart, Connecticut versus Buffalo. We had a bowl game.
Was Derek Brown in that game?
Yes, Derek Brown, Darius Butler. There were some pro players on that UConn team. And then we went home from that and we watched them beat the Packers. Wildcard weekend, Arizona, I think.
No,
Arizona beat Matt Ryan and the Falcons.
Yes, sorry, Atlanta. Yeah, my bad.
But anyway, that team was like 0-5 down the stretch and they were dead. Then all of a sudden we get to the playoffs and they were back. I could see that potentially happening. They need to fix their pass rush. That has been really like they can't put teams on their heels anymore, and that was such a big part of how they played. And Cliff Kingsbury just might be a god-awful coach.
They're getting their center back, and they've been bad without him. He's important, Hudson, but...
Minnesota and Green Bay is the Sunday night game. And this is the game where, for sure that Packers fans are saying, man, I wish we had Kirk Cousins as our quarterback. But alas, they're 6.5-point favorites at home. 47 is the over-under. I'll take Minnesota. Like Tim has said, Minnesota just plays Green Bay really tight. It doesn't make Minnesota good because they're done now, right? Or could they still make it?
They aren't done, but they need a ton of things to go their way. I mean, Philadelphia's... They're like Atlanta, they can make it, but a lot of things need to go their way, including winning out. And by the way, I think they are going to win this game. I am going to tease them up, and I do think they're going to win this game because they're just a marvelous matchup for Green Bay, who should have lost their last 2 games. Were beaten by beat teams that are clearly inferior to them in the circumstances that both Baltimore and Cleveland were in. They should have lost them both. Are very lucky to have won them both. A team that you're going to be asked to lay way too many points in the playoffs and have every opportunity to get bounced in their first game. I'm not sold at all on this Green Bay team, and I think the Vikings cover and win.
I think this Green Bay team is actually quite good because their defense continues to get better and better, mainly due to a pass rush, which was non-existent through 4 weeks, is now quite good. And they will get healthier by the time that the playoffs come around too, and almost have everyone back. Plus, they have Aaron Rodgers, who's probably going to win MVP, which really helps. And Geoff, did you find it coincidental that the moment that Tim said that Kirk Cousins was better than Aaron Rodgers and that all Packers fans knew it and would want Kirk Cousins, that all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers the betting favorite to be MVP?
It's quite remarkable how that works. And the last couple outings we've seen from Cousins, he's just been straight abysmal. I thought he would bounce back in the Ram game, at least stat-wise, after that horrendous Monday night versus that depleted secondary in Chicago. He did not. I'm dumb enough to bet on the Kirk Cousins bounce back on Sunday night. This is a real money bet for me. I got an early 7. It's actually the only game. I mean, it's early in the week, but it's the only game that I have a bet on at this moment. And it's the Vikings plus the 7. And you kind of alluded to it, Pat. We kind of spoke last week how we were looking forward to getting a bet in on this game.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins played very well last week. 27 of 38, 315. A touchdown, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 90.
You and I watched that game, right?
He threw a pick in the red zone on the first
It was
drive.
horrible. He was bad in that game.
Okay, but the numbers say he actually wasn't bad.
Yeah, but we
all.
watched that game, Tim, and he
The
was
problem
bad
with that
in that game.
They couldn't cover the receivers. Cousins played well enough for them to win. The problem was their defense played poorly. The thing is, the Packers have such a terrible defense that he should.
Why do you think that the Packers have a bad defense? They don't,
because they can't stop anybody. That's why they're terrible. They're
like,
not a good defense. That's why they can't win the Super Bowl.
They're like a top 10 defense, by the way.
They're not. If you're watching them play,
okay. So based on your assessment of their defense as a whole, they're not very good. Although the numbers suggest that they are. But Kirk Cousins, who you can watch play quarterback, a singular person who you watch play and was terrible last week. No, he was good because the numbers say so. So which one is it? Which one do you want to go with? Whatever, the only one that fits your narrative?
I will go with what works based on what I'm seeing. If you think the Packers defense is great, go right ahead. This defense is an Achilles heel that will cost them dearly.
They have a very poor run defense. And really the thing that's been killing them is their fucking terrible special teams. They have a brutal special. They may have the worst special teams in football.
And also something you can't overcome. If they don't fix that, they can't win the Super Bowl. They can't.
Well, the three of us are taking Minnesota. The coin is going with Green Bay, and the coin is the right side right now. Cleveland and Pittsburgh, the Monday night game. The Browns are 3.5-point favorites in Pittsburgh. 41 is the over/under. Feels like too much by a hook to me, just based on this Cleveland team and how they're playing right now. I'm going to take Pittsburgh plus 3.5 at home.
This is just a play against Pittsburgh, plus a play that I'm certain in my marrow that the Browns and Bengals have to have a de facto playoff game next week. So I will take the Browns.
Geoff?
This game being on Monday, Tim, it probably eliminates the league's ability to move Roethlisberger's final game to Saturday night. Versus Baltimore, who probably could have implications.
I don't think the NFL cares about that kind of stuff. I think if they think they need it on Saturday, they'll move it. I know what you're saying, and I think that would be the fair thing to do. But
I mean, let's say the game means everything for Baltimore. Like they win this week, and it sets up for them. You're going to allow them to play on Saturday versus a team that just played on Monday. That wouldn't be fair to the Raiders, the Dolphins,
I agree.
The Chargers.
I think
every other team.
I think they're going to have a devil of a time figuring out who to schedule in those two Saturday games. A terribly hard time.
Like they'll have so many options or they won't have options.
Every option they choose will have tremendous downsides and unfair applications to the teams not involved, one way or the other, I think.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. That's
my prediction, by the way, is because no division we wrapped up, that all four AFC East teams will be given those games. That's my prediction.
But earlier in the show, you said Chargers Raiders would get.
Yeah, I think that if that's a play-in game, I think that probably goes to the primetime game. And then you have Dolphins Patriots in the early game because that way they won't know what the Bills have done, and that'll be fairer. And then the Bills will have something to play for regardless of who wins. Patriots Dolphins, and that Bills Jets will be the late game on Saturday. I think that's where they're going.
I'm going to take the Browns here. I'm going to take the Browns here. I like them. I knew they'd throw a punch versus the Packers. You could argue they deserve to win. It's such a weird game, but I'm going to take the Browns. I hate this pick. This is probably my least favorite pick of the show.
Oh, no, the Saints are my least favorite pick of the show.
I can get on board with that. I'm curious to see what this spread ends up after everyone's lost their money on Sunday and what comes up on Monday night, because I could see steam building for Cleveland. And just the one underrated part about Pittsburgh is that, I mean, their run defense has gotten progressively worse, but they can get to the quarterback. If they start getting hands in Baker's face, it could be game over here for that offense.
Okay, I'm switching my pick.
Okay, why?
Apparently,
like 3 switches.
No, this is my second switch. It's Ben's last home game, and the anecdotal evidence of Rivers and Eli had great final home game victories. And let's go out as a class. I'm the loser without the Super Bowl, though. I'm the loser.
Vote for Geoff.
You cried week 1. Like, for all the things people want to make fun of me about, like caring too much or doing things or reacting, you cried week 1. You cried.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. We were there. Also, the panic attack you were having on Trevi's final drive against the Jets, and then your celebration that you beat the Jags and hurt your draft position for no good reason was pretty pathetic this weekend. And then
I was terrified.
and then claiming that Zach Wilson is Steve Young because he beat the Jags.
I was both very I mean, everything you said is true. I was terrified, and then ecstatic, and then jubilant for a victory Monday. Yes, I felt good about it.
That's just sad behavior.
No, it's not. I get so few wins, and that might be the last win I get till September of next year. So I was going to drink it to the lees.
All right. That will do it on the Pat Mayo experience. We need to come up with our super locks and recap the free. Are there only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games on your free money 7-point teaser this week, Tim?
That is correct. It's a 5-team 7-point tease.
So it is Washington plus 10.5, Houston plus 20, the Chargers tease through 0 at plus 2, Detroit plus 14, and Minnesota plus 13.5.
Those are they.
Okay. So super locks for the week. Geoff, you need to go 2-0. I need to go 0-2 for you to catch me. Who do you got?
Every part of my football life, Pat, needs to win out and get help. Every part of my existence requires winning out and getting help. And I need help on and off the field, as some would say. Well,
Tim, do you have yours ready?
Yeah. Give me the Bolts.
Bolt up, -5.
You hate me. You hate me.
No, I don't. I think your team is going to win this game by a lot. You know what? I'll promise you this, Geoff. I'll pick the Raiders next week. I promise you right now, I'll pick the Raiders.
Geoff, he's only...
This is like a reverse thing. You want that.
Geoff, he's only doing this so he is because it's so close to the Custy Awards being eligible to be voted on that he's just trying to rile you up so you do something crazy so he doesn't win most insane person.
Oh, everything you say everything I do has an ulterior motive.
He claims, who is assisting him? He's talking about campaign videos. He couldn't even put clip art together.
He was scared that his AirPods, he wouldn't be able to figure out how to pair with his phone.
So someone out there is assisting him, and come on, man.
I am going to just play the first instinct that I had this week and bet I bet it at -3, but I bet it at -3.5 too. Philly -3.5 on the road against Washington.
And because I'm having a hard time deciding, I may as well just pick the game that I've already bet, despite losing a little bit of value, having lost the 7 on the Vikings, but I'll still take the current number, Minnesota on Sunday night.
Minnesota,
I like that a lot.
Minnesota plus 6.5. Since we've begun recording, there have been a few spread changes. It's not going to change our picks because our picks are locked into what they are when we pick the games, but it appears like the Bills have lost a half point. That's now 14 on the number. And the Jets have gained a point. It's only 12.5, Tim.
I think it's probably the coaching news.
What's the coaching news? Oh, the Arians? Didn't that happen earlier this afternoon?
Yeah, but it happened an hour ago. I don't know. I don't know.
Did it happen when we were doing the show or before we did the show?
Just the start of our show, I think.
Yeah, it should have been the same. This changed 10 minutes ago. Usually sportsbooks are pretty up to date with this stuff. The moment stuff happens. It's hard to catch them with their pants down if it's a good sportsbook.
Fair enough. I mean, who knows? Maybe they just took a big bunch of bets on the Jets, which I can see. Jumbo Jets.
Dear God. That was the insanity and horrible impressions of Tim Undercust.
Tim Undercust.
Not my name. Go Jets, and a happy 2022 to everybody. We'll see you in the new year.
Don't curse 2022. The last 2 years have been cursed enough.
2022, a curse-free year.
Jesus
Remember
Christ.
I said that.
Oh, man.
Is it going to be a flag planting free year?
Oh, there will be New Year's Day flags planted. You can be
Can't
sure.
wait.
Well, there's Geoff. There's only one remaining, and that was the hinge game that was this weekend. Of all of his predictions, none of them have come true except for the Buffalo Bills won't win the AFC East, which is now back in play.
That's our guy.
So what you're saying is I got the bar set real low, and it'll be easy for me to jump over with some flags that I'll be planting on New Year's Day, watching the Irish win the Fiesta Bowl and planting flags.
I hope that their thing gets canceled because of COVID.
That's very sweet of you to say.
I know everyone is. I hope their entire franchise, they're going to bring down the Catholic Church and Notre Dame has to go with it. Sorry.
All right then.
Yeah, I think that's what should happen. That's just me. That's just me being pragmatic about the situation.
Okay.
Get rid of
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. No need for them. I mean, we can
Yeah,
find someone. You can find someone else to play Army and Navy. I'm sure.
More envy, just more envy
Of what? A team that
of the
hasn't,
Irish and their.
a team that
their
hasn't won
tremendous
anything in your lifetime.
Well, that's not true.
Oh, I'm sorry. They won something when you were 1 year old.
And they've been to championship games and playoff games since.
How have they been doing in those?
They covered the spread last year.
How many did they lose by?
They lost by like 17. I think the spread was 18 and a half.
Oh, I mean, they're a pretty good team, Jeff. They went.
They're favored to win the Fiesta.
They went to the playoffs, Jeff, and they were 18-point underdogs in the playoffs. Very, very good team, though.
Well,
I'm looking forward to that game. It's just because of a couple videos that their social media put out, but I'm in love with the coach, and I think they're going to be so fired up.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I got your back, Tim.
You have to bet the Irish in the Fiesta Bowl. We're going to win our first big bowl in like 20 years, and it's going to be a launch pad for a very special 2022 in South Bend.
Who is yelling in the background, Jeff? I think Jeff is gone.
I'm here. There's just people arguing outside the room that caught my attention.
The kids are fighting outside the room. Oh no, your kid's free, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Kids,
that sounds great.
It's weird. It's great and it's weird. It like feels awkward, but we're doing it. We'll be home we'll be home soon.
I'm 3 years into this. We are waiting for our first we've spent one night away. The two of us have spent one night away from the kids. Now I've gone away, she's gone away, and I've stayed home or she stayed home, but the two of us together, my wife and I, have not gone away.
Yeah,
yet.
This is our absolute first. We've had the exact sort of I've gone away, she's gone away, but this is the first we're away. And
is it
my
worth
kid's
it?
at home. She's getting lots of screen time, lots of candy. She's happy. She doesn't miss us for nothing.
Is your wife constantly checking in on the cameras you guys have at home to see what the kids are up to?
A little bit, but my wife is been very honest. She's just enjoying not having them around.
Okay, so you actually hit on one more thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here. And you mentioned it because a new Cust Corner came out on Christmas, a very merry Custmas. Cust Corner 37.
We're having a great time. That's all.
Is she
okay,
is she
sorry.
is she
I've been
is she
invaded.
is she
on?
Yeah, we're doing the show right. Ashley, we're doing the show right
Yeah,
now. You can join in if you want. We can hear you.
She misses her kids, but she's enjoying not having them like any parent.
I would
These
too.
are
I'm with
kids.
you. I'm with you.
I didn't that doesn't infer you don't love them.
Nobody thought that.
Yeah, I don't know. She came barging into the room.
Well, because I was getting ready for the attack.
Okay, no attack. No attack.
We love and miss our children. We wish they were here, except we're happy they're not.
That's fair.
Okay. You were saying something, Pat?
Yeah, that you said after Cust Corner 37, a very merry Custmas that came out with Gary and I and Tim, obviously, on Christmas Day. Everyone should go back and listen to that. It was a good one. That there should be a Cust Corner after show for some of these. I like that idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. You get a even Tim shouldn't even be involved. You should get a panel of people to discuss him.
Yeah, no, I if you weren't on that, it's like when they had After the Walking Dead or Talking Dead or whatever that was.
Or the Hills after show that sparked the guy that made Schitt's Creek. Literally.
Yes,
the Hills
that's
after
true.
show.
Did you listen to the Christmas Day one?
I certainly couldn't participate, or it wouldn't make any sense. It would just turn into another corner.
Yes, no,
Yeah, exactly. You're not invited.
Yeah, and I shouldn't be.
Okay, well, this might be something we test out in the coming. I don't want to say years, but maybe the next time we do one, we'll figure that out. Jeff, when are you back at home? Are we doing golf?
Yeah, baby. Oh man, it all begins.
Are you excited? I am. It's so weird, how excited I was for football to start. And we could do shows again. We could talk about the spread show. Now we're into week 17. Like I told Jake earlier, that this football season has been so short because I can't believe it's week 17. But it feels like it's been by far the longest football season, just with updates, all of this, especially the last few weeks when it comes down to it. Stuff changes every 2 hours. Content dies. You're trying to constantly keep up to date on everything. I'm so pumped that golf is coming back. And I was trying to do swing season golf. And my heart just wasn't into it because I didn't care. But I care now. I'm fired up to talk about golf again.
Yeah, I'm excited. It starts. I mean, it's a build-up, right? Hawaii's, pretty chilled, relaxed. But once we sort of get to Torrey and Phoenix, we're just off like a motorcade pretty much.
Tim, were you disappointed you were not invited to participate in the Majors Pick Show?
No, that's okay. No, I'm okay with that. You guys are the experts. I just like to listen. I have my own thoughts on the majors, but I'm sure you guys did a great job.
In fairness, it's because you were working and you didn't have the time to do it on the specific time.
That's okay. Didn't hurt my feelings. That's quite okay. I'm looking for 3 of the 4 tracks we get for the majors this year are a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to it.
Which one is not good? Augusta?
Southern Hills is not a good course.
You don't like Southern Hills, do you?
Nah, I think it's a block course. From what I recall, 2007, I think it's sort of a block course. Whereas we get to play at the best course ever, St. Andrews. So that'll be exciting.
But you are going to be so like triggered when a guy like Bryson goes there and mincemeats it, right?
Well, we'll see. It'll be a good test whether 5 or 6 centuries of the game can hold up against Bryson. It'll be a fascinating test.
Well, but not just Bryson. There's Bryson, then there's like 35 Bryson lights.
Yeah, but they played there in 2015, and the guys really couldn't quite do that. I mean, Zach Johnson won, for heaven's sake. So we'll see.
That's a great point.
Yeah, but
we'll see. But also, I like Sam Burns to win the Tournament of Champions. Just put that out there.
I don't mind that.
Remember you said that. People should go sign up for the one and done because Tim is going to be participating in it, so you can go take his money. Oh, and we have to do our one and done again too. I won. I think I've won the last 2 years in our 3-man.
I'm the worst,
and have not come close to the cash in like the big one and done at all.
I'm the worst. I have nothing else to add.
All right. Well, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience for week 17. We'll be back for week 18. Best bets coming later on this week. The preview show I mentioned with Geoff and I for the majors and the season preview and the up and down players you should invest in to get off of. And we'll probably be wrong with our predictions, but it's a fun show. It's just fun to talk about golf again. So subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience. Leave a 5-star review, something you like about the show, Twitter handle, or email address to get into a draw for some free one and done entries. We'll give those out very, very soon, and we'll be back. Golf full-time next week. Football full-time. It's an exciting time to be a sports fan who likes the sports that I like, because this is the best time of year. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!